Hello, and welcome to Revamped, a rewatch podcast that revisits my top favorite shows and movies. I'm your host, Brandon Alexander, joined by my co-host,
Courtney Autumn.
Venture with us as we set our sights on the infamous Hellmouth to cover 90s cult classic, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Follow along from the beginning, spoiler-free, as Courtney views the show for the first time and I revisit the series for new takes and a fresh perspective on its narrative.
Each season, every episode, in order, we will follow Buffy Summers and her friends to examine their character development, the show's underlying themes, along with its major story arcs, all while engaging in conversations, sharing our own authentic thoughts and feelings to what's unfolding before us.
So sharpen your stakes, load your crossbows, and join us as we explore the supernatural world of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Let's get into the episode. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Revamped. Today we are back to cover Buffy the Vampire Slayer Season 3, Episode 18, Earshot. Did that sound cool? Should I say it differently? Should I just keep it?
I think we should keep it.
We'll roll with it. This episode aired September 21st, 1999, written by Jane Espenson and directed by Regis Kimball. In this episode, after a demon attack leaves Buffy with the ability to hear everyone's thoughts, what starts as an unexpected gift quickly becomes an unbearable curse. As the noise in her head grows louder, secrets spill, tensions rise, and Buffy realizes someone at Sunnydale High is planning to kill them all. Now, if that doesn't call for a dun-dun-dun moment, I don't know what the fuck does. A fun little note, and you probably didn't pick it up, but you're going to pick it up as soon as I start to put it down. You're going to be picking up when I'm putting down. Courtney, you picking up when I'm putting down? Yeah. Listen, I didn't want to say this whenever we live watched the episode together. Not for reaction value, but just we watched it for everybody listening together online as we've been doing for random episodes because, you know, there was a certain scene I had to see Courtney's eyeballs open up to. But I wanted to let you know it was very interesting. So this episode aired September of 99. I'm pretty sure the last episode we covered, its air date was like April or something like that. And obviously there's like this huge gap in between that. This episode actually aired out of order, and it's the only episode of Buffy to ever air out of order, and it has a very specific reason. Everybody listening already knows, but Courtney doesn't know, so we're going to tell. This episode has a unique history behind it because Earshot was supposed to air, like I said, right after Enemies back in April of 99. Oh, I have it written here. Cool. But just a week before its scheduled air date, the Columbine High School shooting happened. And because of the sensitive nature of this episode, especially the scene involving Jonathan and the clock tower, the WB decided to postpone it. And it didn't end up airing until September 21st, 1999, as I've said 4 times now.
Wow.
But it was actually a full 2 months after the season 3 finale had aired. Like they aired the last final 3 episodes. And it premiered right before season 4 because they were like, oh yeah, we got to put this episode out that we never put out there. And for a long time, fans were just like missing this episode in the lineup. The cast and crew really pushed for it to eventually be shown because they felt the story wasn't exploitative. It was compassionate and incredibly relevant to the themes of isolation and misunderstanding that Buffy always handled very well. Even Sarah Michelle Gellar pushed really hard for it to like get put out regardless. You know, obviously they weren't going to like handle it with Miss Karen and be like, we're trying to put something out here like this is okay and stuff. But if anything, some of the people affected by it might have helped them cope a little bit or just like shine a light on people that are dealing with mental issues, health and trauma and, you know, whatever else is going on when it comes to this type of stuff that I know nothing about. But, you know, obviously when it finally did air, it was very widely praised. It's held by many Buffy fans. Tabby was telling us when we recorded last week that this was a really important episode and one of her favorite of the season. And a lot of people felt that it showcased exactly why Buffy was ahead of its time, tackling uncomfortable issues of isolation, misunderstanding, and like I said, mental health with empathy, nuance, and heart. So I thought that was a fun fact to throw in here. I mean, anybody that didn't know that, they know now. I'm pretty sure most people listening do know that. But I thought it was interesting. I was like, damn, can you imagine tuning in for the episode tonight? And apparently whenever people went to play or not play because it comes on TV, you know, press play like we do nowadays. But most times, whenever they went to watch it, it was like the previous week's episode or something like that. Or like a call. I think it was a repeat of the episode. It might have been like another episode they brought back.
I was
like,
going to say, I wonder what they did in place of it.
I saw it online, but I didn't write
Mhm.
it down. They aired another episode, and people were like, "What the fuck's going on?"
Yeah.
You know, that would have sucked back in the day. But you know, I come down on the side. Not that I really want to like spend a whole lot of time debating or speaking on it, but I probably would have not let it air immediately when it aired, but maybe like pushed it back a few weeks or something like that, and given some people time to have space with it, because obviously that was
Yes,
like
that was
it
a
literally
huge thing.
happened the week before, and that's still to this day is
Yeah.
talked about.
Yeah.
You know, but obviously it has its good things. Like I say, the episode really does get awarded praise for the themes that it really touches into. And you know, it's a TV show, and they didn't know that they were filming this, and like, what a weird timing
Right.
type
Yes.
thing, you know, for it
Yeah.
to come out like that. That's crazy. I love how even if I said that back in April of '99, your face immediately was like, whoa.
Mhm.
I didn't even know that was on 420. I saw that whenever
Oh,
I
I
was writing
didn't
some
realize
notes
that
and stuff, and
either.
I was
I
like,
just remember it was in April, around the time when I moved to the States in 98. And so I
oh
remember
wow.
like a year later around my birthday that happening. And it was like, you know, people spent months talking about it, which is what I was going to say. They probably waited also as long as they did because it was such a huge thing. Whereas unfortunately
Mhm.
now when we hear about school shootings, we talk about them for like a week, you know, and it's because they're so common, unfortunately. So I feel like for
You mean talk about them for 5 seconds until the next
and then
day, and then
another one
it's out of
happens,
sight,
you
out of
know.
mind.
And
Yeah,
not to be funny,
exactly.
obviously, but I feel like, yeah, that was such a huge, huge thing. So it was talked about way more than school shootings are, and it was really,
You were like, can we move back to Germany?
oh, literally, no, I was terrified. Like, I was like, what do you mean people can just come to school and have guns in hand? And all, it was such a bizarre concept. And I think for probably any 9-year-old at the time, which is the age I was at the time, but I think
Same.
that, like, yeah, just coming from a place where in Germany that doesn't, I don't even know if that happens there nowadays, you know,
Oh,
like it just doesn't, I never heard of anything like that before. So I think for me especially, it was just like, what the fuck is going on in this country? You know.
yeah. I don't even remember it, to be quite honest. I know about it now, obviously, as an
Hmm.
adult, and because it's a big thing that went down. I have to correct myself because I was like, same. But no, actually, you were older than me for that moment because it happened on 420, and I was 4 days shy of my 9th birthday. So
That's true.
you were an adult, and I was a child. Um,
Fully.
but you know, us literally being 2 weeks apart from each other, it was like almost that frame. But yeah, I don't even remember really it happening. I think the first thing that I really myself remember happening while I was in school was like watching the towers fall and stuff like that, and
Hmm. I
9/11
remember that
happening
too.
and stuff like that. So that was the first major like event to like really strike people
Yeah.
again, I guess.
And we were
Strike.
older then too, you know, I think we were closer to puberty age and stuff.
We were
So yeah.
11, yeah, almost 12 or so when
Yeah.
that happened. Yeah, intense. But yeah, I think it's interesting that it deals with this, and I think it's interesting too watching the episode back and just hearing some of the comments that's made along the episode too about like how that is just normalized back in '99, how like this happens like often and things like that. I'm like, oh, okay, well maybe this wasn't as like not known about it as we thought of, and then like obviously it happens like they had already filmed this and all this other stuff. I'm just like, damn, that's what a
I
blind
know.
side, but
I
also
wonder
kind
how
of like
they
fuck.
felt like, ooh, you know.
Hmm.
Like, well, we gotta have
Either
a
way,
different plan now.
yep. But now that we've got the elephant out of the room when it comes to that, so to speak. Guest stars this episode. Obviously, we have Danny Strong as Jonathan. I chose to add him again. We talked about him as a guest star whenever he first appeared in season 2, but I did not mention back then all the stuff that he did. I think I had said that he auditioned for the role of Xander back then, but I didn't credit his successes. So to give him his little shining moment here, obviously in addition to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Strong has acted in the television series Gilmore Girls, Seinfeld, Clueless, Third Rock from the Sun, Over the Top, Grey's Anatomy, Boy Meets World, How I Met Your Mother, Mad Men, Girls, Justified, and Billions, among others. Not and Billions. And Billions apparently was a show or something. I've never seen it, but you know. He appeared in films such as Pleasantville, Dangerous Minds, Seabiscuit, the spoof Shriek, I Know What You Did Last Friday the 13th, which is a little spinoff spoof thing, kind of like dealing with horror movies, kind of like the way they did the Scary Movie franchise. I actually just watched that a couple weeks ago for Halloween around that time frame, and I like had forgotten that he was in it. Julie Benz is also in it. She plays the blonde in their little quartet of a group. Julie Benz is who played Darla. So I thought that was funny seeing her in here with Jonathan. I was like, look at these little Buffy characters up in here. Either way, Strong also wrote the screenplay for Recount, Game Change, The Butler, and the two-part finale of the Hunger Games film trilogy, Mockingjay Part 1 and 2. And he is also a co-creator, executive producer, and writer for the Fox series Empire. So, I mean, he's moved on to do a whole lot of stuff. I thought it was cute. Sarah Michelle Gellar just posted the other day a picture of him and her, because he apparently brought back the Broadway show Chess, which hasn't been around since like the 80s or something. Sarah Michelle Gellar said she last saw it when she was like 8 years old, before it was like taken off of Broadway. Wow. But he got it like resurged and stuff like that. And she posted about it and like called him brilliant and awarded the work that he did and called him a superstar. That'll mean something to some people. I'm going to show you a picture on screen of these cutie patooties, like what they look like nowadays.
Oh my gosh.
But little Jonathan and Buffy, but I was like, how cute that they've stayed lifelong friends this whole time, essentially, and that she's like traveled all kinds of places to see other little things that he's done and whatnot, and kept up with him well over the years. I was like, oh, I love it. I love when our Buffy alumni kind of stay friends and stuff. And Sarah's the sweetest when it comes to stuff like that too. She's always posting stuff whenever she like meets up with like Allison Hannigan, or would hang out with Michelle Trachtenberg or any of these other people randomly. I'm like, this woman is a goddess. Other actors we have in guest starring roles is Karam Maliki Sanchez. I'm going to say that, so I guess what it is. I didn't know how to say his name, but he is who plays Freddy this episode. And he was in the movie, I remember him specifically from Drive Me Crazy, which is that movie with Melissa Joan Hart. And the dude from Entourage, that I'm blanking on his name right now. I did not write it down, but I love that movie. He was in Cherry Falls, which is a really good movie. It had Brittany Murphy in it. If you've never seen it, 100% go watch it. If not, we will watch it one day, because I love Cherry Falls. He was also in Texas Chainsaw 3D, and then appeared in the TV shows True Blood, The L Word, the late 80s Friday the 13th series, among others. And then some bullshit people we have that I wrote nothing about. We have Justin Doran as Hogan, Wendy Worthington as the lunch lady, Courtney's favorite character, Robert Arce as Mr. Beach, and Lauren Roman as Nancy, Courtney's other favorite character. I'm just going to always say the people that we absolutely cannot stand are your favorite characters.
Definitely.
What did you think of Earshot?
Oh gosh, this was unexpected for me. Obviously the title gave me like nothing to work with. You were right about the Slayer predictions. So yeah, I was not really on par with my guesses, but this episode just kind of hit differently, because it started off in this very monster of the week kind of way, and then we taper into this very real plot and storyline that's like filled with real emotions and real things that I think a lot of people deal with in general on a mental health aspect, especially in high school when shit gets weird. But more so, like you said, the timing of the episode's release kind of sheds light on situations that are still very real today. So for it to have such a timeless theme was interesting for a change, because it's so good at being such a good classic 90s show that when you get these themes that still kind of parallel in today's world, it's really interesting to see how that can still happen, and it doesn't matter what else has evolved around us, kind of thing, like technology or society or people or any of that. We still have the same kind of issues at large. So yeah, it was interesting. And as there were so many funny parts, like I found myself laughing a lot in this episode, and it was more in the dialogue of it. But it was a good episode, and I really liked it. It did feel like a filler episode, like we weren't, and I know you said it ties in later, so I'll wait for that.
Just really for Buffy, nothing crazy. It's just like it helps evolve her.
I was going to say like character.
We'll talk about it by themes and metaphor, and you'll get why.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I appreciated it for exactly all the things that it touched based on, and the fact that we got a little bit of funny moments along the way on such a heavy-weighted topic. So, as always, a good episode for Buffy.
Yeah, I was reading some reviews online, and like 3 of them that I read, they were all like, damn, 18 consecutive awesome Buffy episodes in a row. This has not ever happened. Because like back in the day, there's all these episodes that people would be like, oh, this is bottom of the barrel. We don't like
or
this
there's
episode.
like when you'll skip
so we could skip it. We could skip it. Exactly. But everybody's like, no, like this is like pretty consistent. And I would honestly agree with that. These first 18 episodes have been awesome. But how crazy that we're at episode 18 out of 22. Like that just freaks me out. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? We're almost done with season 3. As I said last episode, and I'll continue to basically say here until we're done. But, I really like this one. I think it's a lot of fun. Like you were saying, it's another one of those, oh, hell, here we go again situations for Buffy. Like, she's already been hit with so much random nonsense, and now this girl suddenly gets mind reading powers. Like, it's really cool until it isn't. Also, like, the episode starts off with the light comedic tone, as you were kind of saying, and slowly shifts a bit darker as it goes on, but also kind of still spreads those comedic tones throughout it. We got the stress mostly of Buffy all the way up until the culmination of the end of what's going on with her once like everything kind of starts to unfold and her journey turns south with her new little accessory ability. But it does really kind of follow that format of like Monster of the Week and the fallout of that. But then obviously those bigger layers happen when the threat happens to occur when Buffy picks up someone else's thoughts. So it kind of is one of those times to me, like it calls back to Buffy being at the right time at the right place type thing. We talked about this back whenever we covered Reptile Boy, and I was like, how's she all of a sudden end up at this party? Like, there happens to be monsters here and something crazy going on. Had she not been here, Cordelia be dead, this other girl be dead, and stuff like that. I was like, it's interesting that she always is stuck here with this like energy surrounding her. But it makes sense for her to have like this happen to her and catch this in this world that we live, this fantastical world, because someone needs to stop it. And why not it be the Slayer? Like, she can't escape anything. It always got to happen to her specifically too. Like, it sucks. Another journey with the Hellmouth, of course. Obviously, the episode 2, I really like it because, I love a good red hair. And this episode kind of has them all spread throughout. You're wondering, like, who the whodunit person is throughout the episode, especially after Buffy gets that message. And we're exploring, like, who could have done this. And then when we think we found the guy, we haven't. So it's another one of those episodes that kind of flips you twist after twist a couple of different times. I remember being so stunned at the actuality of, like, what was really occurring by the very end of the episode when you're like, wait, what? Like, this is so silly. Like, what is her motive? Exactly. Like, why? And then she kind of tells us, which we'll talk about. But overall, like, shining note for me though, we get Jonathan, and he's our guy, like, for the first little kind of twist, I guess I'll say, the bigger red hair besides Freddie and the other people that we're searching down. And I think it's cool because we get to find him in something deeply personal, even though like we don't like what Jonathan is planning. I do like that we finally get to really focus on him, because since season 2, he's been that recurring side character who kind of pops up more than anyone else, like Harmony or Devin. Like, he's always on the fringe and no one pays attention to him. Like Buffy calling him out by the dip in Dead Man's Party, like, he's always there, but no one ever really truly pays him attention. Even when they kind of pay him attention, like in that episode, he's like, nah, I'm good, I'm just over here. She's like, how about you by the dip? And he's like, nope, not me, like, pay me no attention. So he's kind of asking for it, but whatever. But here we finally kind of see how he's been feeling all along. I kind of think about like Harmony being a bitch to Cordelia whenever she came back to school. She's like, we have just the stallion for you, and it's Jonathan sitting over there slurping his big gulpy. Like, he gets paid attention in these interesting ways. He's held by the Order of Taraka Cop, and What's My Line? She like takes him hostage for 2 seconds, and he just appears on screen in these weird little random moments, usually like to be in something like this. So I thought that was interesting too. I'm gonna call back another episode later on down our process of uncovering this episode, because I think something else is kind of funny when it comes to him. But I like how they work him in here, and they tell his story in a more real way, like leading to Buffy's big scene with him, and basically her helping him through something that has nothing to do with slaying. And she even calls back to that at the end of the episode. It brings me to why I like the episode overall, because Buffy never uses her new power for Slayer business. She uses it for her human side. And this episode, if anything, deals with a lot of humanity, or mundane issues, the things that are not supernatural at the end of the day. And obviously, like I was saying, she starts having some fun and using them for her little classroom win or like whatever. But ultimately what this does, and this is kind of like what it does for her, I guess I had it in here a little bit earlier than the themes and metaphor, but it really deepens her empathy and her understanding of what people hide under the surface. And it exposes it to us as the audience as well, and makes us be like, hey, remember to reflect on people. Like, a lot of people have like quiet things going on. Like, we can't tell just by the surface level of people, but like what's going on in people's minds, sometimes you never know. Like, it's always the quiet person. I don't want to say always, I don't even know how to handle this without sounding crazy or stepping on toes, or I don't know what phrase to use for that. But dealing with the issues that we're dealing when it comes to like suicide or things like that, like, it always sometimes it's either like they say, I don't know, I'm not going to say it that way. Like sometimes the happiest people are sometimes the ones that have like the deepest like psyche of pain going on, and sometimes the people that are the most quiet are the ones that will gun down a school or do something crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Do the unexpected because you don't know what's going on inside their heads. And sometimes it's just because people want to ignore them. Like this kind of episode makes me call back to Marcy and be like, thank God that bitch just turned invisible and started going crazy on everybody instead of like doing some other crazy shit. Like she was just after Cordelia, very targeted, you know, like it could have been this way with her in that way. Like I wouldn't put, I mean, now she, and then at the end of that episode, remember she goes to that fucking training academy where they're teaching her assassination and shit. So like,
yeah.
I'm surprised we didn't see that bitch come back with a rifle. Like, I don't know. But my point though, overall, without making too many funnies, like it just makes the exact person that Jonathan needed in that moment come to him. And I really like the way Buffy handles that scene with care. It's one of my favorite Buffy moments in the series, truly. It's so small, but it's so important. And like I said, for her, other little small things I really like about the episode is like I noticed watching it this time around how the gang's kind of all together again. I had forgot to mention during all the Faith chaos and enemies that Courtney was quietly kind of slipping back into the mix because we saw her like in the library with the gang. Obviously she wants to be around Wesley, but she was going to help them like research the mayor at the little town hall place and all this other stuff. And it kind of feels like a different involvement that we've not seen her in since Lover's Walk, you know, because she was just kind of popping up to hand off her little snarks and then move on, or, you know, whiplash out at Xander, pretty much most of those. And that was it. But this kind of gave us a little hint of the old dynamic we used to have. And now this is the second episode in a row she's been back to help. And it's nice that at least she showed up to kind of help Buffy, even though the whole time she's thinking to herself, as we can hear, like, I'm cold. Can I not be outside right now? Can like I go home? And like, are we done here? All the normal things. And then she just voices them anyways. That was one of the funniest parts about Cordelia, is everything she's thinking in her head, she just says it.
I love that. I love that little added touch to just, you know, really double down on the fact that she has no filter between her brain and her mouth at all.
That shit's so funny. But I liked it. And even when she's back in the gang, she's still kind of sniping at Xander in between these like couple episodes. So it kind of just feels like it's eased her back in before the season wraps up. And then before we get into the episode, I just really want to note that Oz is on fire this episode. Like I've never heard him deliver so many funny lines back to back and speak so much. Like the little lines that they give him, I found myself laughing at most of the stuff that he was saying or doing or the thoughts that were going on in his head that Buffy was hearing. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? I don't know. It was just really funny. But this episode calls back to one of the funniest things that like, well, I would say it's funny by the time we get to it, but it calls back to a moment that we experienced earlier in the season, and we finally get an answer to something. Which, like, I keep saying we're going to talk about it when we get there and stuff like that, but that was the best. Okay, but other than that, let's quit rambling and go ahead and play the episode. Okay,
let's do it.
No, just kidding. All right, that's it. That's the episode. Bye.
Goodbye.
Buffy saves the day. Goodbye. All right, here we go for it. The episode begins with a casual run in the park, but not, because a mouthless demon is chasing Buffy. She does that thing in horror movies where the girl falls and the demon thinks it got her, but nah, she's got him because she smirks and kicks it into the swings, drawing a dagger as she stands, giving it some Buffy banter.
You demons can't resist a run and stumble, can you?
Another attacks from behind her, knocking away the blade for the other to catch, attempting to toss it at her, but she catches it. These two seem to be coordinated, but not coordinated enough, as Buffy grabs one and flips it onto the picnic table, stabbing it in the chest as the other runs away. One down, one gone, she says, as we pan by Buffy's hand, her not noticing a glowing wet smudge on it that seeps into her skin, disappearing before panning over to the deceased demon's body, leaking the substance from its stab wound. We fade to black, and we think the Buffy theme. Well, they can't hear our thoughts, so they can't hear it. The next day at school, Willow and Buffy enter the library discussing the scabby demons from the cold open and how Willow was bothered by the no mouth features they had. But hey, no mouth means no teeth.
Unless they have them somewhere else.
Ooh, no. How gross that they are calling these scabby demons also. Like, they do kind of look like walking scabs, just saying.
Ugh, they're gross.
I read in someone's review, they were saying that they kind of look like a lighter version and a reworked version of the Go Fish Monsters, the fish monsters from the episode. I was like, yeah, I could see that. They meet up with the rest of the gang who have been helping Giles research further about the upcoming ascension of the mayor, which has turned up with the kind of results that are zero and plenty. Buffy worried the whole Faith Angel thing was for nothing, and Giles disagreeing because at least they know about Faith's treachery now, and at least the info gathered gave them a small lead on the ascension. We see him saying, as we take notice to Buffy itching her hand where the demon blood was. This is the first moment to myself. I was like, ooh, shit, like, this bitch got an infection or some shit. What's going on? Watching this as a kid, I'm like already taking notice. I'm like, because obviously we see that shit seep into her hands. We're like, oh hell, what's going on? I meant to do it, but obviously we had to think the Buffy theme, and I didn't remember to do it because I was too busy laughing afterwards. But whenever we were watching it, you were like, like, what the fuck?
Nice.
Did you have any thought about like what that meant at all? Obviously, I know you didn't know she was going to be hearing thoughts, but in general, were you like, this is going to cause a problem?
I knew it was going to cause a problem when I saw her itching her hand, because obviously that means something. But when they started talking about what might happen, and they were very like vague about it, and she wasn't even sure like what was going to happen, I don't even know what I thought. I thought that she was gonna like, I didn't think what she was thinking, because she was literally thinking in the context of like physically transforming into a demon or something. Like she's like, what if I get scales or whatever? And I was thinking more
Once
like,
she finds out about the
I was
aspect.
thinking more like, what if you wake up and start acting like Faith? Like that's, I was like, what if you literally like internalize the character of a demon, not so much like physically transform into a demon? So I didn't even at that point think that this episode was headed where it was. It was very surprising.
Right. What a cool way though to like transfer this energy to Buffy,
or give her
this
like very
too,
temporary ability, basically.
Kind of fun. I'm actually thinking about something else in the future that I can't talk about. We're going to talk about it then. We'll call back to this. Wesley comes in having spoken with the council and getting snarky with Giles about having no leads, but this motherfucker ain't got any leads himself, so he's about as useless as he finds Giles to be. Everyone vacates the library, and out in the halls, Willow and Buffy discuss some more about how she hasn't talked to Angel since she said she needed a break, and mentions how she's still a bit bothered seeing him and Faith together. Xander spouts off at the mouth with them, talking about Hogan Martin walking down the hall, and his basketball team crew, as the people in the halls are all commenting like, great game. And, Percy's at his side too. We get to see Percy again this episode. And of course, Xander doubles back real quick whenever like Hogan speaks to him, because he's all like, oh, Hogan thinks he's so hot. And he's like, hey, Xander. He's like, he knows my name. I'm like, boy, like Xander folds so quick, but he gets so excited. He's like, oh my God, I'm not a nobody. It's so cute. But also it kind of like shows like how people express things like versus what they naturally would think, and how they quickly double back. So like perception isn't always reality type thing, which is very important for this episode, I guess. Not I guess, it is. Who knows? I do. Percy stops to talk with Willow about rescheduling their study sesh, and she's on him about completing his assignments regardless, and we learn that she's still actively tutoring him. Buffy's stunned at the fact that Willow will be attending the next game as well, because she's like, I'll see you at the game, and apparently is loving the basketball vibes. I'm like, okay, well, I ain't going to a basketball game. Calling out to Buffy, it's too bad that she has to patrol, because, like I said, everyone is going, and she leaves her alone in the hallway as Buffy continues to itch her hand again. We then cut to Giles' office as she's there, having informed him of the irritation that she's experiencing on her hand after a good touch with the demon, not the bad kind of touching. Giles brings over a book identifying the demon, noting that it states that they can infect their hosts, and Buffy grows a bit alarmed.
Infect? Giles. Infect?
Infect the host with an aspect of the demon. That's what it says.
Giles is ignoring her, and she's like, Giles, in fact, I love that. That's one of my favorite clips, but it's not my clip for the quote for the episode. I said clip, but quote. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Who knows? This is a wacky episode. Buffy's alarm levels aren't relieved, and especially when Giles says to minimize her exposure to the demon that got away by currently not going after it. Her commenting she hopes that this aspect of the demon isn't the outside parts, aka the ugly bits. Out in the courtyard, Courtney leads the cheer squad in cheering the basketball team, aka Hogan, because go Hogan, and they're like G-O-H, or like if we want to do it in the key of H-O-T-T-O-G-O, G-O-H-O-G-A-N, Buffy, Oz, Willow, and Xander nearby among the crowd commenting on this lameness. Freddie Iverson, who writes the school paper, who would agree as Willow reads his most recent article on pep rallies, being just as such, aka it's pointless. Buffy over here fondling herself and looking agitated as fuck too is called out by Willow on her behavior. She's like, what's wrong with you? And Buffy's like, oh, I'm fine. But then she like nervously gets up and starts to walk away. And she's like, I'm checking for horns. I'm like, bitch, I'm dead. But I would probably be doing the exact same thing. Because honestly, that would be a good moment just to say that, like, her freaking out with Giles in the library, like, ever since then, her mind is running rampant on what the fuck might occur to her. Like you were kind of saying in our opening thoughts, like wondering what's going to be happening to her. Or not even opening thoughts. I think you said it a moment ago. Who knows? I'll know whenever I play it back and listen to the recording. But this shit's so funny because she tweaks the fuck out about it. And obviously Willow follows after her, trying to assure her that like Giles is wrong on everything that he's saying, and she doesn't think that she's going to become like a demon. And then Buffy still worries about growing some demon part, and of course Willow adds the new element of fear in her heart, wondering like, what if it was a boy demon? This is one of the funniest moments to me because Willow's kind of doing that thing like she did in Helpless when she's trying to assure Buffy like, without a doubt you're going to get your powers back, and then like in a second she goes, but what if you don't? Like, and I mean, she follows up with something pleasant about it, but she like immediately doubles down on the fact like, well, maybe you won't, like, but I'm saying you will, but you won't. And I feel like she kind of does that again here, but instead of that, when she's like, you're gonna be fine, she throws that part about like, oh, you might grow a demon penis though. Like, I'm like, why are you trying to stress Buffy out? This bitch is already digging up in her head like she got lice, and apparently she's checking for horns. But like, no, Buffy, you need to head to the school nurse and have her dig through your head with those little cotton swab things they used to bring us all in the fucking things when there was an outbreak at the school and check our heads with. You remember that? I used to love that.
Oh my God.
Low key, I used to love when we had an outbreak at the school because one, I didn't get it, but two, we would have to all go to like the library, ironically, the library in my elementary school, Pacala Springs. And they would take these like the wooden ends to like the long Q-tips, and they would look through our hair, like slice through and just like section a few pieces. I used to just love the sensory stimulant on my scalp. It was like getting a massage or something, you know? It's kind of like those things you put on your head and you like, they're like the little wires.
Yeah, those like scalp
like almost like finger grabber.
Yes,
and you just kind of like they open and close on your head.
Yeah, it does give you like a nice like tingly like sensory feeling.
Yeah, it's nice. It's just like
I could just see little you like, yes, someone has lice. Like get excited.
Literally. Meanwhile, I went home and got me a treatment because I had not that same day, but I definitely did have lice a couple times. I think that
like you're pretty normal if you have experienced lice. Like I've rarely had a person to say like, oh, I've never had it. You know, I think like when you're in elementary school, you'd be like, you know how they had us hang our like jackets and hats like next to each other,
right beside
so I'm like,
else's,
no shit, we all fucking got lice. All our shit's right next to each other.
1,000%. Plus, we're all rolling around on the fucking like playground together and digging up in each other's shit and everything else that's under the sun that's disgusting with little kids. I mean, we're all sharing our boogers and everything else. Like, I mean, it's the same thing. Like in elementary school, you go to school and you get sick. Like
you're all
one
like
person has
taking
a cold
the gum from underneath the desk and eating it.
Okay, first off,
no. You said sharing our boogers, so I want to know like what took place in your childhood because I have never.
Well, I didn't do that. I was just like calling out the most foul thing I can imagine little fourth graders do. But apparently Courtney chewed gum from underneath her desk.
I was just calling out another foul thing.
Courtney, don't lie.
You don't
you
lie,
ate other
and
friends'
don't lie
boogers.
about you didn't share your boogers with people.
I wanted to keep them for myself. First of all, I ain't sharing no boogers with nobody. Y'all, I'm dying right now on the screen. This is all stupid, and people are going to be like, I'm not listening to this episode, but I'm keeping all this in here because I think it's funny.
Well, they can fuck off if they don't want to listen.
Yeah, they didn't want to share boogers with us anyway.
Well, I don't want to give them my boogers. You didn't either, apparently. You're stingy with yours.
Okay, so anyways, Oz and Xander talking about his wasted time on Cordelia, but again, he doubles right back on the shit that he's talking when he catches Wesley passing by, as he has his Pierce Brosnan eyes all over his Cordelia. This scene kills me because like Xander is sitting there talking about fucking Cordelia, how she's like not all that, and like how he's so over her essentially, and to Oz of all people. Like I love how they've been pairing up so much this season. compared to like you wouldn't think that would be happening, you know what I mean, after the experience. But I guess they decided to be best mates. But he makes that comment, he's like, he's got his eyes all over my Courtney, and I'm like, okay, first of all, she is not yours anymore, Xander. Like, what? But then Oz immediately calls him out on his flip-floppiness too. He's like, dude, what's wrong with you? I don't remember exactly what he says. He says something, maybe I'll put the clip in here.
You're a very complex man, aren't you?
But I was like, very true. Buffy continues to wig over the demon shit with Willow because, you know, they're standing off to the side still chatting. And she's a bit distracted with her cheer support of Percy because she's over here talking about like,
Scared, Will. And there's this thing in me and I can't find it. I can't stop it. What if it changes me? I mean, not just the way I look. All of a sudden, I could be something that's not me anymore. Yeah, woohoo!
And then she's like, oh no, sorry. No, I mean for him, like Percy. I'm trying to show support. And Buffy's like, oh, okay, cool. I thought you were saying like I'm gonna get a demon dick and you were excited about that. But once again, she assures Buffy that everything is gonna be okay. But it's not. Later that evening, we find Buffy walking the streets of Sunnydale in the cutest suede purple long coat, I will say, fashion moment in for Buffy. Buffy checking in her compact, her reflection to see if she still has a mouth, because, you know, now she's starting to say, well, if I get an aspect of the demon, then maybe my mouth's going to disappear. Well, then cool. The only sucky thing about that is Buffy's not going to be able to call it that banter that's so cleverly punned and well put together whenever she's fighting monsters. But honestly, if Buffy just wants to kind of shut up this episode, I can deal with that. For the first half of it, because all she's running around and talking about like, I'm gonna get this aspect of the demon, I'm gonna get this aspect of the demon, I'm gonna turn into a demon. Like, I'm like, Buffy, shut up and calm your mind. Like, chill. She's spooked though when she turns around to find Angel standing behind her, which I love because like his non-reflection obviously kept him stealthy, and he apologizes for spooking her.
It's okay. I didn't see you, so I should have known you were there.
Thought that was funny, but like obviously we get the call back to a vampire not being able to be seen in a fucking mirror. He's there to check in on her though, with Faith on the loose and all, make sure that she's safe, and he realizes something's bothering her too, because he and we can tell that that is displayed all in her attitude. Plus we know how she's been feeling some type of way because she's not choosing to tell him, but she's been telling everybody else. Like I said, she's been running that mouth, she needs to have it disappear. But she doesn't tell him about her faith issues and mentions this whole incident with the demon instead, because obviously this is an issue that she's worried over, and her on the rise yet unknown new aspect. He claims it could just be exaggerated demon lore, and Buffy still comments her worry over it. He assures her he is there for her and won't let anything happen to her if he can help it, noting he would love her even if she was covered in slime, her liking everything he said up to that part, which is a sweet little moment. Because, you know, at last episode, she's like, I'm going to take a break from you, but obviously you're going to follow me on the street, so I've got to talk to you. But I really like how Angel calls out here too, like the aspect of the demon. Like he mentions it whenever she says that I might turn into this demon thing, and he like kind of like already knows about it. I'm like, how much I mean, I know 240 something years on this earth, you got to like have some kind of memory bank for all sorts of things. Apparently he's been hanging out with Wesley too, or lo and behold, he was just like instant messaging with Giles at home, talking to him and stuff like that. So that's probably how he knows. I don't know. Or he's eavesdropping like he's been doing on Faith this whole season and stuff. Not the whole season, but since Consequences. He's Detective Angel. That's how he knows. I forgot about that. Yeah, I don't know. All right, let's move on. I don't know how to segue past that. Detective Angel. The next day at school, the gang sans Buffy are hype about last night's basketball game win. But when Buffy approaches, Willow silences them, and Buffy calls out she's aware that they don't want to talk about all the fun they had without her in front of her. I'm like, ooh. She's like, either we lost the game and you guys are sad, or you feel bad because I wasn't there and don't want to talk about it in front of me. I'm like, ooh. Again. Them starting to talk down on the game. Now they're like, oh, it wasn't that fun. And then of course Courtney passes by and she's like, you guys are fucking crazy. That was the best. Like, it was the bee's knees, item 9.
Are you guys crazy? It was an incredible game. I've never cheered so hard in my life. I still have knee marks on my back. From the pyramid?
She makes that joke too. She's like, from the pyramid? Because
I know
they're
they
like
all
looking
look
at her weird
weird.
when she's like, I still have knee marks on my back. And I was like, Cordelia, what'd you go do? And she's like, I had 5 girls on top of me. And I'm like, say more. Faith said, say less. Buffy said, say more. Because, you know, she's low-key in the girls a little bit. Willow notes how patrol was probably way more fun than anything they were doing, and Buffy saying it was uneventful, four-legged demon turning out to be just a dog. Tough luck. Oz even having the moment where he's like, was it a were-dog? And she's like, no, it's not a full moon. You weren't out there last night, Oz. And he's like, oh, okay, I forgot. Xander watches Cordelia nearby, and we hear him think to himself in a distorted voice.
I wonder if she and Wesley have kissed.
Really interesting, too, that this is what Xander's thinking. So we can still see, he's still been thinking about Cordelia ever since what happened. You know what I mean? Like especially earlier, his little comments in the courtyard. So he was probably saying all that stuff out loud. And in the moment when he caught Wesley, he probably wouldn't have normally voiced what he did and voiced about Cordy being his still. But he's still in his mindset. It shows us this whole thing's been going on. But now it's revealed to us. And Buffy notes that it really bugs him, huh? And he's like, huh? What the fuck are you talking about? And she's like, Wesley, Cordelia, smoochies. And he's stating, wow, you read my mind. As Buffy's eyes grow wide with the realization that he didn't speak that out loud and she's just heard him think it. So apparently it takes about 36 hours for the aspect of the demon to appear. That's a really slow process. That thing's already in her bloodstream. I would think the next day, the next morning, you wake up with this ability,
I know, and I
really
like
bad
how
for-
it's not really, I guess it grows over time where it's it seems gradual, where it's almost controlled in a way where she's able to take on one thing at a time, and then all of a sudden it's this overwhelming drowning in thoughts type of thing. But what's interesting is you're saying, for it to take so long, you would think that it would even be more gradual than that. It would have taken days for her to even get to a point where it's everyone's thoughts she's hearing and not just the direct people just around her or whatever.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Because it does kind of come in hot once it starts.
And then it's all of a sudden all at once.
Damn, it sucks for Buffy. What did you think on the reveal that this is what the aspect was?
I mean, initially I was relieved because it seemed, like I said, more of a controlled setting where it was okay, this can be cool. And I think that's kind of what she was going with initially too. She's like, okay, well, if this is the thing, then it's not so bad. At least I haven't grown a tail or whatever the fuck else she was freaking out about. So I just feel like it could have been really cool to have the episode go on with the controlled ability of it. But obviously, as everything goes in this show, it goes south super fucking fast. So I started to worry pretty much instantly for her, because I'm there's got to be something here that's going to go incredibly wrong. And either it's too much too fast, or there's a lots of things that she isn't expecting that people are thinking, or a little bit of both. And it seems like everything happened. So yeah, it felt very much the beginning of a problem.
I mean, that's pretty much how it usually always turns out. My little dumbass, when I was a kid, when I very first watched this episode, I remember it because this is such a big moment for Buffy. I was like, holy shit, she can hear thoughts. I was all thinking how Giles was going off in a moment where he's like, you could use your opponent's set against them. You can coordinate and strategize way more.
Yeah, you can always
definitely
be a
for
step
Buffy.
ahead kind of thing. Yeah,
exactly. You thought her resources were on par before. No, this bitch got it on lot now. Now we see how she's really resourceful. But I used to think that maybe this was just something that went on the rest of the show. Buffy was just able to hear thoughts or something like that. Until it started unfolding, especially in the first reveal, I was like, oh, maybe she can pick when she wants. Once she learns how to control them or something like that, and she can pick and choose when she hears thoughts, which is very dangerous to be able to hear anybody's thoughts. At the end of the day, without the negative aspect of the demon, we'll call it, fun little pun there, but without that being an issue, I still wouldn't want to hear people's thoughts. If you had the ability to hear people's thoughts, would you want to? Even if I could pick and choose the moments, I still don't want to know. I'll look through your phone. That's okay. If I got the opportunity, I'll just be a peeping Tom while I eat my boogers.
While you're sharing your boogers. Yeah, no, I don't ever want to know. I'm very much a person of in some instances, but especially if it's surrounding me or anyone else's opinions, thoughts, emotions that they're having to process about their own stuff that they're trying to deal with on their own, ignorance is bliss to me with those situations.
100%,
and that's how I maintain my mental health, by being able to control and pick and choose what I take on. And I feel if I could hear anyone's thoughts, even one other person outside of my own, then I would be in a lot of trouble. My mental health would be at risk for sure. So And I would feel
Yeah.
forever susceptible to like my emotions or my mood being controlled by someone else's, because I don't know, like, what if I could hear your thoughts and I wake up in the best mood and you wake up to the worst mood, and I can hear all of your thoughts. So now all of a sudden we're both having the worst day ever. So it's just one of those things where it's like, even on a minor scale of like being inconvenienced, I just don't see it as a benefit at all.
Yeah, I feel like a younger version of me, or just like any person in adolescence, would probably choose to be like, "Oh, this would be the coolest thing
100%,
ever to
just like
listen to
being
everybody's stuff."
visible
Like,
or whatever, but that has
yeah,
there's pros
you
and
would want.
cons to that too.
Yep. But as an adult and as the person that I am, like to this day, like I would not want to like have that kind of power or like whatever, just because mostly for the invasion of privacy issue. Like I don't want to know what's going on in someone's mind. If I did, then that's what is called communication. If I have
Yeah.
something I need to know, then I can go talk to them and ask, and hopefully they're going to tell me the truth. And if not, then my spirit guides are going to tell me the answers, or my tarot cards, one of the fucking other. Like I'm gonna get a message
100%.
somewhere or another. It always seems to be that way. So like I'm gonna be hearing something, ain't gonna be thoughts, but I'm gonna be hearing some answers.
Yeah, and I think thoughts are
But
private too. So it's like, I don't want to invade anyone's privacy like that, and I don't want anyone to invade my privacy like that. And like you're saying, it removes that element for the need to communicate, which is so important to like anything, but especially relationships. So I don't want to cut the
yeah,
corner there. I want to be able to like have that tough conversation that we need to have, or whatever the fuck, and just ask you like, how are you feeling about this? What are your thoughts? Instead of being like, all right, time to read your mind.
Yeah. Well, that's the good part about like, growing up and becoming an adult, is you start to learn and mature with this type of energy.
Exactly.
But unfortunately for Buffy, she is an 18-year-old, and moments later we find her walking down the halls, hearing numerous people's voices, her taking it in and kind of vibing with it and this newfound ability. That is until she hears that one guy who's having lustful feelings.
Buffy's so beautiful. I mean, look at that body. God, I'd love to shove against that locker right now and just.
This scene is so funny because as soon as she hears him thinking Buffy's so beautiful, she like starts like stopping and like kind of her one little ankle draws up like to her heel or whatever, and she starts playing in like her neck and her hair and stuff and kind of like fondling her body to make herself look appealing. And then as soon as she hears what he's thinking, she like looks at him with disgust and like, runs off. But then 2 seconds later, like finds this other boy in the hallway, and apparently he looks her up and down, and she hears something repulsive that he's then thought too. And she's like, ooh, like, wait a minute, hold on. And this is already the kind of first little take that she's getting, like, oh, I might not want to hear every single little thing, even though this is kind of like assumingly cool. And it's interesting too, because in the shot, obviously I didn't really include it in the script or anything or in the dialogue, but she like runs by Mr. Beach, and that's the first time we hear him think about like, we should just get rid of all the students, and like the other people thinking mundane stuff in the hallways, like, oh, I failed that test or whatever. You know what I mean? It just shows us that she can hear other people's thoughts too. It wasn't just Sander. And then obviously she goes to the library where she's going on with Giles about this dope ass new aspect. I called it an aspect, if you will, like ASS, dope aspect, because it's dope as fuck. And how she's loving it. Giles isn't convinced that she has this ability too, and she tells him of the shady thoughts on her shoes that he thought whenever she entered the room. And of course he is stunned, thinking to himself like how the demons are telepathic, and of course that's why they don't have mouths. And then repeating those same words to Buffy, who is well aware already.
I know. You just told me. That's why they don't need mouths. And you should have known.
This is astounding.
She's like, I know what you know that I know because I heard you think what you know. Buffy calls this weird but awesome as a power, and Giles noting it could be so useful. She could anticipate enemies and be a bigger threat as a slayer. Except Buffy thinks that she could apply it to way better things. Cutscene transition magic to Buffy over in class, hearing all the teacher's thoughts and giving all the answers, leaving everyone stunned. Especially Willow, who is surprised Buffy did and understood the reading. That's so funny. I'm gonna burn it now. Like, that's one of my quotes from the episode because it's so funny. It's kind of shady too, because she's like, Buffy did the reading. Like, that's the first little knock up. She's like, wow, Buffy read the book. Then she doubles down and was like, Buffy understood it though. Like,
I just love the like friend energy they've been giving Willow the past 2 episodes, because like between the time where she was like, Faith is totally that girl, she's the that do it girl or whatever, and then what were you talking about earlier that she said in the episode where she was having another one of those moments toward Buffy? Like, you literally just covered it a minute ago.
What? Is it a boy demon?
But anyway, she had another shady moment where it was just like, what the fuck? Where she was like making something uncomfortable very obvious. And Buffy's like, okay, but okay, like I get it. So for her to have this thought and Buffy to be able to hear it, it's just like shedding such a light on Willow, where it's like, as good and sweet and innocent as she is, she has this like kind of like cattiness to her, but it's still so Willow based that you don't ever like consider it wrong or bad, it's just kind of fucking
At
funny.
all,
Yeah.
no. It is so funny. And obviously there's so much going on. Buffy doesn't even like pay it no mind. She just like, she knows it's her friend regardless. As compared to this Nancy bitch over here that's getting annoyed with Buffy too during all of this and competing with her for the teacher's attention because she's like shouting out answers to beat Buffy, and then like they're like eyeing each other down and shit. And of course Xander's over here thinking about how the teacher's kind of hot, and Buffy's like, what the fuck? Freddie is over there thinking and is introduced to us as well, who writes for the school paper sitting in this class. Very important for later in a way, but obviously like Willow and her have a little bit of shared dialogue. And I like wrote in my notes initially, and I totally forgot to write it in here, but I'm remembering it. She's like, hey Willow, who's that? And she's like, oh, that's Freddie Iverson. He writes his editorials, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, Freddie's one seat over from y'all. He can hear y'all talking about him. Like, what is happening? I don't understand. Like, I would have been like, can y'all shut up talking about me? Like, I'm sitting right here. I'm in the room. Okay, cool. Or I'd write my editorial all indirect, be like, bitches in class be thinking I can't fucking hear them, but I can. Like, wait till my next issue comes out, motherfucker. Bitches in school have lice and be eating boogers. Next Thursday's big story. I'm dead. That's gonna be so funny calling back to the beginning, but the lesson begins to turn towards its end and reminds Buffy through its words of Angel and her feelings over the matter with him and Faith. And in this lesson, obviously, once we're teaching something in class, we know that this means something for the episode. And they're talking about Othello and Desdemona, which is, Shakespeare, all the things. And it's a good Faith and Buffy mirror. It's a metaphor, obviously, on the destructive nature of jealousy and inner demons. That's what the whole lesson is about. That's what the story is about. I didn't do a whole lot of research because I do not give a fuck about the Shakespeare story. But like between Buffy and Faith, it was interesting how they bring it. But Buffy's line about Iago being the darker half of Othello and reflecting on her own relationship with Faith, and thinking about her jealousy and how jealousy can turn people against each other. And it also mirrors how the voices of doubt and negativity are kind of creeping up in her mind, and she's like being her own inner saboteur in a way, and how that can push someone towards like self-destruction, just like Othello's Buffy's Iago, because her insecurities at this point are running rampant in her mind, just like last episode about what's going on with this Faith and Angel energy. That's what led to her at the end of the episode to be like, I need a break from this because I need to process, for one, but obviously we see that her processing is still occurring. Like that little meter bar is still like buffering, like no pun intended on that either, but it's Buffy a ring, but she's still dealing with that. And it's interesting because then obviously we cutscene over to Angel's mansion as Buffy enters, got a note nearly killing him with the curtain, opening it because she brings in the sun with it. And apparently he was kind of moving towards it to open it anyways, I guess to maybe let a little bit of light into his place. And I'm like, well, don't you dare pass through that accidentally. Just like, what if you just happen to like walk through it? Do you know, like, why don't you have extra lamps in there? I felt like it was already nicely lit. Like, he wants to be able to experience the sun, but not feel it.
I get it.
Because he would be a pile of ashes on the floor. And I think it's funny too, because Buffy like physically says, oh, I ducked out of school in the middle of the day. And I'm like, I wrote my notes in big capital letters. We're not surprised. Like, you do this all the time. No surprise you're at Angels again. You've done this like 4 times this season, plus last season and plus season 1. For wherever you gotta go. Buffy wastes no time, obviously, with bringing up Faith and Angel, and he catches on very fast to what she's trying to do, and like voices that she can't read his mind. And it's so cute because whenever she's like trying to do it, she's like, and the thing about Faith, and she's like looking him in like really confused, like her eyes are fucking twitching, about to go cross-eyed. She's like, why can't I fucking hear you? And he just looks over at her and is like, you can't read my mind. And she's like, what? She's like, I'm appalled that you would think that, but instead she goes, why not? Like, damn. And obviously this is told to us that vampires' minds create the same effect as mirrors. They create no reflection in the person that can hear thoughts. And he tells her that she doesn't have to play games with him and can just ask what's bothering her, basically knowing what she knows and doesn't want to say.
What do you want to know about? Faith? How I felt kissing her? Pretending to have no soul, watching me suffer?
Well, since you bring it up.
I hated hurting you. More than I can stand.
Look, the thing about Faith, I'd understand. You know, she has that whole bad girl thing working for her.
Kissing her meant nothing. I don't want a bad girl. I've done that before. I've lived a long time, Buffy, and I'm past that. I've been with dozens of girls like her. More.
Oh, this honesty stuff is fun.
And there's no comparison. In 243 years, I've loved exactly one person.
Buffy scoots closer to him to make sure that he's actually speaking of her. You know, she's like, you are talking about me, right? And he agrees. And he warns her to be careful with this gift she has also, because, you know, it can be a blessing and a curse, as she'll find out in 2.5 seconds. I want to say, like, out of everything this episode, other than the Jonathan clock tower scene, I really like this scene because they go hand in hand with the part of the metaphor and the message that the episode's trying to get across about how we should communicate more effectively to work through things. Because, you know, if Jonathan had someone to talk to, he might not be in the position that he was in. If the lunch lady had someone to talk to about how she hates the students, Dutton obviously she wants to work at somewhere. God, can you believe it? What if she worked at Subway, our favorite place to talk about on this podcast? Like, she would be poisoning all them people at Subway because they come in there and eat filth. Like,
Yeah, I have so many questions about her.
We'll talk about her at the end. Maybe a little bit.
We'll
just
touch
a tiny
base.
bit. But once again, like, to bring it back to what I'm trying to say, like, communication, it's very important, and it helps you to understand people and arrive on the same page. Communication is key. They say that for a reason. Like, don't cook things up in your mind. Angel helps shatter some of that narrative for Buffy and help reframe the idea around beating around the bush versus just asking a simple question for an answer. And I understand not all questions can just be a simple question, but it can be as simple as just asking and getting an answer, whether it's not the answer you want to receive or not. You know what I mean? If you're afraid to receive it, like, whatever, you're going to get told. You can then deal with it. Like, Buffy's been processing anyways. There's just more for you to process if it's not what you want to hear. But I think it's interesting because Buffy solves her problem with Angel here in the same way that she solves it with Jonathan later, by talking about it. So very interesting that, like, they put this with Angel, and it's kind of always Angel that seems to, with his age, bring some sort of wisdom to most things that he's involved with, you know, like the way that he thinks and the way he operates and stuff. Standout character. Like, he honestly should be Shining Slayer this episode, but I'm not going to give it to him.
Spoiler.
Well, Buffy goes back to school. She's returned. She's like, I'm done with my lunch break. Hopefully this is the lunch break that they were told they could get in Faith, Hope, and Trick, when they could leave in the middle of the day, like, actually warranted. She sits with the gang, and they have now been informed on her ability, and Xander is immediately wigging the fuck out because all he does is think about sex. We know. But also, his, like, inner dialogue is so fucking funny. He's like, I think about sex all the time. Oh, fuck, what am I going to do? Unfortunately, this effect does and doesn't sit well with everyone. Buffy overhearing everyone's true thoughts, like Willow not liking that she can know everything that she thinks and knowing Oz better than she knows him thinking about how he is basically non-existent too, and Buffy's like, Buffy is his thoughts. I think he thinks that shit's so funny because he's like, if I have my thoughts and now Buffy is my thoughts, she becomes me, and like all this other stuff. Like, he's having such a, like, pondering perception mode in his head, like, going on.
He's
I'm like,
definitely
I
having,
love
like, a
Oz
mental
so much right here.
crisis for sure, but it's so on brand for him that I love it.
But if you were like, Oz, talk about this, he would literally say 3 words.
I know.
Like, but he's having this whole monologue.
But you can
in his
just
head.
tell that, like, his inner dialogue is probably so much broader than his outer dialogue, because he just seems like he seems
just picks
like
and chooses what he wants to say.
character somehow, even though he never says, like, anything hardly.
Right? Which is awesome how he can, like, make that portrayal come across to us without us ever even having to hear half the shit he ever would think.
I think it's just because it's obvious he internalizes a lot or something, you know?
Yep. It's because he's a cool guy. Xander's not cool because he's still over here freaking about the sex.
What am I gonna do? I think about sex all the time. Sex. Help. 4 times 5 is 30. 5 times 6 is 32. Naked girls. Naked women. Naked Buffy. Oh, stop me.
God, Xander, is that all you think about?
Actually, bye.
That's just so funny because he darts out of there so fucking fast. And I love it because Wesley brings to everyone's attention how Xander's just displayed, like, how this could go negatively, and how Buffy will be hearing what they least want her to know, and how they all should attempt some mental discipline. immediately negating his words when he goes on to think how lustful he is over Cordelia. Love this moment because Buffy just leans forward on her hand and rests and just stares at him. Like, I can hear you, remember, kind of look, and just like, I don't know, the way that she plays this off is so funny. And he like catches himself and sees her and he's like, I'm gonna leave the room now. Because he's embarrassed, as you should be. Willow leaves also being overwhelmed, Oz following his redhead, and everyone showing that they don't want to be around her. So with the headache coming on, she leaves herself. Buffy leaves the library. She's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Back out in the halls, we find her hearing everyone, and we can sense that she's getting a little overwhelmed by this. Not so fun now, Buffy, is it? I do think it's cool in that scene when Willow's thinking and talking at the same time. I wrote that in my notes because I was just like, because she's saying that one thing to Buffy and like she's thinking in her head like the opposite version of that. Like she's telling Buffy like, this is cool, you can do this, and she's also thinking like, this is awful. Before I know it, like she'll be thinking like things like blah 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 blah. But I also thought it was kind of interesting for a way to display how people be thinking differently than what they're actually saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Saying one thing and doing another kind of thing. Like it lets you know that people aren't always honest in their mind as to what comes out their mouth in this moment. But I was also thinking that like, obviously Willow's so smart and so well like put together as a person and like mentally stable in this way to where she can literally say something. I mean, anybody can do it. I'm thinking something kind of as I'm saying it to you, but just, I don't know. I feel like my ADHD does not let me do that. Like if I'm saying something, I can't be thinking it unless it's the thoughts that are forming to make that sentence.
I see what you're
like
saying.
She's thinking two different things at once and saying something.
Yeah,
like
it's like the
really cool
it's like
display.
the whole like what is it, patting your head and rubbing your stomach thing. Like it's like that
in a
it's
circle
like
or something. You can't do it. Yeah,
to that and the mental equivalent to that.
I also like the irony of Buffy telling her in that moment too. She's like, "Oh, please don't think that." Like. A phrase that we've all said to someone before, but this time it's like literal. Like, please don't think that. Like, usually it's in a connotation of you being like, oh, no, don't think that. Like, I don't want you to think that about me. She's like literally saying, no, don't think that. And she's like, I can't help it, Buffy. Like, I'm thinking this and you can hear me. I was like, damn. This is kind of turning shitty though, like already turning sour. Like a sour grape. Later, we find Giles researching also more about this ability, and there's record of a man that once had it happen to him, and we found out that he's been exiled to isolation ever since because he couldn't shut off the power. Kind of fucked up, because then it like lets us know that Buffy's in a little bit of danger. Over in the cafeteria, Buffy's not worried about this because she's worried about getting lunch. Obviously, it wasn't lunch period. Now that I'm thinking about it, that was, she went to see Angel. She just all went at 10 o'clock in the morning. And now she's back here for afternoon lunch. She's like, I got to get back to school and get my like little card click because I can't waste Joyce's money for my
like
cafeteria.
I have to seem like food. I'm here, and then I'll leave again.
And this is where the power starts to grow really overwhelming because everyone's obviously thinking in the cafeteria and they're flooding her mind. We can tell that she's getting an overwhelming amount of people coming in. And when she gets that brief little interaction with Jonathan too, where he's trying to talk to her, but she's really distracted by obviously what's going around. And he thinks to himself, she doesn't even know I exist. And like kind of puts it in your face here the first time that Jonathan's an issue in this episode without even really thinking it. But it also kind of sucks because Buffy's literally like, and this is the whole message that Buffy gets to him in the end. Everyone is so worried about what's going on in their lives that they don't have time to stop and think about what's going on in yours. You know what I mean? Buffy's literally hearing fucking thoughts. She's a vampire slayer that's always having to deal. Last season, she had to kill her boyfriend. Like, I'm sorry, Jonathan, she's not paying you attention in the fucking cafeteria right now. And you feel like you deserve her. Like, I get it. I do get it because it sucks to be ignored, especially when it happens. We saw what happened to Marcy. Like, what happened when that poor bitch got ignored. Like, we get it. And we understand how she retaliated. Like, it is a whole thing, but it's very pointed how it kind of puts in your face. But like, it also kind of just shows the flip side of that, how like somebody can take something so trivial in a moment because they don't know what's going on inside your head. You know what I mean? Once again, to beat a dead horse. But it's interesting how they put that right here in front of our face for us to like, to see it but not know it until later. And when you go to watch the episode again, you're like, oh fuck, damn, this sucks for Jonathan. Like if she had to talk to him in the cafeteria, maybe he wouldn't have went and got that rifle. You know what I mean? Like she could have been that one little spark of hope, just like Marcy trying to hang out with Cordelia and them in the bathroom and thinking she's gal palling with everybody, and they thinking they're laughing at her, but they're really not. And then Cordelia basically making her go invisible because she's like saying all the stuff that Marcy's saying, like stealing all her lines, and all the girls that like she don't exist. Like I love that episode. We should rewatch that one. Yeah,
definitely.
Our favorite episode. I'll get the needle. During this interaction too, like after she leaves Jonathan, she goes to walk off, and I thought it was interesting because I never really noticed it, that Freddie Iverson is behind her walking with his lunch tray, and he's like staring, like death stare, like really apparently this is just his demeanor as a person, because we realize he has nothing going on in this episode except for like the shade he's throwing at all as his band later. But like they're trying to put a little red herring that like he's looming behind Buffy, especially leading up to what's about to happen. Obviously, this culminates in Buffy not being able to separate everyone's thoughts. She hears one specific ominous voice think out loud, "This time tomorrow, I'll kill you all." That's how it sounded.
That's true.
And this shocks her. She drops her food tray, which, you know, gives us a big clue for later. Again, throwing her food onto the floor. She's not going to eat this shit. Duh. Like, I love it. When you watch it again, you realize. She starts frantically searching for people in there too, trying to see if like the internal voices match up to the specific one that she heard, and she doesn't find it. And then obviously everyone's thoughts start to max her out as she passes out to the floor among everyone. That's just crazy. This bitch just drops out. Like, I'd be sitting in the lunchroom and be like, "Oh damn, that damn girl that's always in trouble just passed out in the fucking." What the fuck? They're like, "Don't move her, you might sever her spinal cord." Buffy next awakens outside to the gang surrounding her, and she appears weakened, telling Giles of a threat that she heard, not knowing who it was. It was just angry and full of pain, which is very interesting the way she heard it. Like, she could also empathize and feel the emotion behind it. Like, she says to him in a second, like, "They were serious. I know they're going to do it. This isn't something to take lightly. It wasn't just like some joke or someone randomly thinking something. This is a like red level threat," like whatever you want to call it. And then like she goes to start to walk off saying, "We need to find this person," but you know, this bitch can barely walk because the voices are flooding in again. And Giles says that Buffy needs to get home to get some space, and everyone is ordered to find the potential killer by the next day because that's when it's going to take place. Giles ushering her to his car, trying to console her that she will be fine, but unfortunately Buffy can hear his fucking thoughts, and he's over here thinking like, if she doesn't get rid of this ability, she'll go insane. And then Buffy's like, thinking like, I would have let him be like, "Bruh,
I know.
I can hear you."
I'm like, you do know that it's not possible to console me while you're internalizing some shit like that. Like, I can hear you.
I'm surprised, like, of everybody though, Giles thought this, because like Wesley said earlier, let's exercise some mental discipline. Giles could probably easily turn off his thoughts and not think something around them, even if he's just in his head going blue, 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 blue. Willow be over here talking about blue, 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 blue at the same time while she's thinking Buffy's gonna fucking die and grow a penis of a demon, like. Apparently. We then find Willow in the library, and she's instructing everyone to different people to question. She's like created this little checklist for everybody to do and made a list of everybody that was in the cafeteria also, how they knew who all was in the cafeteria. I don't know if they went back there and like eyed everybody. Like, I'm pretty sure lunch was over by the time this all happened, but whatever.
It's
We'll
like
go,
you said,
we'll
it's
go with
the
it
clicks
because
of the lunch card, and they looked up whose lunch card got swiped.
Yes, exactly. That's what happens. They know everybody had period C lunch. Or whatever they call that. Like, it wasn't it like A, B, and C lunch or something back in the day? So. Like, Xander bothered that someone is apparently going to gun down the school, and Cordelia and Oz voicing the oh so relevant, even to this day, comments.
Yeah, because that never happened in American high schools.
It's bordering on trendy at this point.
Once again, like we talked about in the beginning, so fucking relevant. Over at the Summers residence, Buffy lays in bed with her cutesy cow print pajamas, being tucked in by lovely Joyce, who is in and out of the room trying to take care of Buffy. But we catch on real fast that she's trying to not be alone with Buffy, and for good reason. And, you know, she makes excuses because Buffy can't grasp as to why, like, she can't just sit with her. Because she's like, "Mom, can't you just hang out with me?" And then it happens. There ain't no chicken and stars. There ain't no fucking extra pillows. No. Buffy shoots up from her bed, laying up in the bed to freak out on Joyce at what she's just heard her mom think.
Why are you... You had sex with Giles? You had sex with Giles?
It was the candy. We were teenagers.
On the hood of a police car?
I'll be downstairs. You feel better.
Twice?
The demeanor, the expression, everything that pours out of her in this fucking moment, straight fucking shock. Because she's like, what the fuck? Like, at first it goes like kind of mad, and then she's like just puzzled and like confused. Like, there's so many emotions going through here right now. Like, And of course, I'm like, oh my fucking God, finally. I've been waiting for this moment since we watched Band Candy, because obviously when they collapse on the police car, we see that scene play out. Like the camera pans away and goes to the next scene, and we're just left to a sump that maybe they just made out on top of the car. And of course, I've been gaslighting you all season, basically saying that all they did was make out on the car. Even whenever we saw them at the end of that episode, I was like, oh yeah, they're just awkward because of what happened. And then whenever Sheila Rosenberg's like, there's a rumor going around, and they're like, a rumor about us? Like, we're like, what are y'all trying to hide? You know what I mean? This is what they're trying to hide.
Shit. It was pretty clear-ish, obviously, but to have it confirmed in this episode is amazing, and just the way that it happened, because it wasn't like a conversation that needed to take place because of this ability that Buffy has. And the one thing I hate is that we didn't really actually get to hear Joyce's thoughts. We just heard Buffy like analyze them out loud, and I really wish they would have inserted those in there, because I wish I would have known how that exactly played out in Joyce's mind. Like, was she like,
Sure.
I can't stay in here with you because I had sex with Giles and I don't want you to know, and it happened twice, and you know, like, I just want to know, like, how exactly did that happen in her head?
I don't know. One, for me, I'm glad it happened the way it did, because I'd so much rather like Buffy have this whole moment where she gets to like do
in
what
hindsight,
happened.
so I wish we could hear it.
I would like to be a fly on the inside of Joyce's mind and listen to her. Like, wait, as soon as she found out that Buffy can hear thoughts, where she was like, oh my God, she's going to hear everything. Like, and then she's going to be like, oh my God, I have this big secret I'm thinking. But also, like, we can clearly think and assume that this has been on Joyce's mind ever since she got porked down. Like, we really found out in Band Candy about the whole panties being slipped off thing being an issue. Like, we talked about it back then. Like, rip her panties off, and apparently that's just what Rip her did. So, and she was so flabbergasted about it. That's the one thing she took from her. She don't care about the chocolate no more. She just cares about that vanilla, that cream, you know. And that, funny enough, the song that they were listening to by Tales of Sweet Ulysses is called
Oh my
Cream.
God, that's hilarious.
Oops, I mean by the band Cream. Just saying. Did you love this moment though? Just overall,
I did.
The fact that they had sex and stuff like that.
Of course I did, and not that like I hate it for Buffy, because I'm sure she's like, what the fucking, she's never going to be able to look at them the same. But I just love the way that it got brought to the surface, like I said, and it was not in this, you know, showdown conversational kind of way that you would have expected. It was so just out of nowhere in a way, you know, like you got long enough to forget about that whole situation, and then, like I said, for her to have been able to read Joyce's mind. And I think I started to pick up on what was gonna happen right away when Joyce was basically like, let me just drop the stuff off and run the fuck out of here, you know.
She's like, I've got
and
laundry.
I'm like, now any normal parent would not be like leaving their child when they're dealing with some sort of like crisis situation, especially even Joyce, you know, Joy, that's so unlike her. So I knew something, but I totally forgot about that. So it was a good surprise, and I was very shocked. I was as shocked as Buffy.
She regretted taking that edible 20 minutes before Buffy got home, because then she was paranoid as fuck as soon as she got told, and she's like, fuck, I'm too high, I can't deal with this. Oh shit, I'm dead. Well, it's the best moment. I love it that Giles and her had sex, and obviously nothing else ever came of that. Like, they went their separate ways and stuff. They had their fun little moment and all the things, but I'm like still gonna say, and then I'll leave it here, 100% would rather her have sex with Giles than Ted.
Yeah,
so
1000%.
there's that. Plus, you know, the robot. So. Back at school, Willow has narrowed down a dozen or so strong suspects to question, giving everyone a paper of people to question. They break at her orders to get started, and they better not forget to write neatly and label their worksheets for Willow. We get an amazing callback moment as Willow, in our next scene, questions Jonathan one-on-one in the library, like we saw her do back in Go Fish, only this time, this doesn't culminate in Jonathan peeing in the swimming pool. It has to do a lot of like key things that like make sense later, and it is put right in front of our face again, but Jonathan is a bit aloof to Willow, and Oz is tasked with questioning Hogan, and we find him out there doing it. And I love his cover story, because he's out there talking to Hogan, and he's like, yeah, this is for like this high school yearbook for senior year, all our shining students. We want to put like a little small article in here for everybody and talk about like these little questions for the personality profiles. And then over in Cordelia's task, like she's over here non-tactfully confronting Mr. Beach, and she just walks in there and she's like, "Hey, Mr. Beach, I was just wondering if you were going to kill a bunch of people tomorrow." And then she goes, "Oh, it's for the yearbook." I'm like, Jesus Christ, what? And then, of course, we find Xander questioning a trio of random girls straying away from the criteria because it's Xander. He's like asking them like a Cosmopolitan magazine a number amount of questions, like, "What would you say the perfect date is?" Like, so he can ask them out, I guess. Xander.
He's like, "I'm going to use this opportunity."
And then we find Oz attempting to drop in on Freddy, who is absent from his writer's room, or so we think, because he's ducking under the desk, hiding from him until he leaves. And this is again where we're like, oh, okay, something's going on with Freddy. What the fuck's going on with Freddy? Honestly, this is one of those clever moments for me, like with Willow and Jonathan, again, saying like it's put right in our front of our face. She basically says exactly what he's feeling. She's like, you don't like being ignored. And like, everything's just like reading him for filth whenever she doesn't actually realize what she's saying. But I'm realizing that Willow kind of sees him. Sure. Like the fact that what she's saying, even the stuff that she kind of said last time, it kind of makes sense for what was going on like with Jonathan. But I was like, maybe if you can see him and you're like saying all this stuff, maybe you could try to be like his friend, if anyone, you know what I mean? Maybe he'll feel like Willow is seeing me in this moment because she pulled me aside to talk to me in the library. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like Jonathan would fit in really well with this. You're not wrong. For the most part. Like, especially Willow and Xander. Like, I don't understand how he wasn't friends with them and Jesse. Like, in the first season. He seems like right up their alley. But it's so sad that, like, Jonathan is so strayed away from everybody that he's, like, surpassed Marcy. He's not even invisible. He's just truly invisible to everybody. Like, without it being literal. And he's not even cool enough to be friends with Xander and Willow. They don't even pay him attention. You know what I mean? That says a lot about somebody, which kind of sucks. But obviously this whole scene lets us know, like, for later on, what's going on in his mind. And we don't think past that point, really. We just assume, like, it's simple little Jonathan. And it reminds, like, me kind of like how in horror movies, the people will be in front of you, in front of your face the whole time you're watching the movies. And, like, it's basically put in there. So that way, obviously, by the time you make it to the end of the movie or for future watches of it, you're just like, oh, I see all those moments, like, where this person was doing what they were, you know what I mean? I see all the innuendos. I see all the slyness and all them attempting to be secretive or whatever. You don't expect it until later unfolds, especially how it does in this episode. So I thought it was interesting. Like, and I think that's why I like the episode a lot too, because like I said in the beginning, it's like a whodunit kind of like vibe. You're trying to figure out what's going on. And I love when that gets my mind and my gears turning, like to think about who it could be. It's
giving very like murder mystery without the murder.
I'm the killer, or at least at my work party I am.
That's true.
That night, we find Buffy hearing people outside of her home and struggling to rest in her bed, while at the library, Giles and Wesley work together, mixing herbs and ingredients, preparing to help Buffy, not knowing if it's going to work. The final ingredient needed being the heart of the demon that they don't know how to get, without the Slayer's help, of course. Giles asking, like, who are we going to get this? Well, cutscene transition magic over to the park where Angel is fighting the demon, fucking it up, I might say. I wrote my notes. Bye to this park. Angel out here acting like this demon is Buffy and Kendra in his apartment because he's smashing this demon into everything. Like, he breaks the park bench. He breaks half the fucking picnic table with his demon's back. I'm like, damn, Angel's on fire this season with all his fight scenes. But two, like, we were talking about scoliosis. This demon, if he hadn't got his heart ripped out, like, his back would have been injured. Like, that poor picnic table. Like, you know how thick the wood and like the structure of a picnic table is for a vampire to flip him over and it crack in half and break down halfway? Like, that, he ain't got no skin.
No way.
Anymore. It's ruptured. Along with his heart. Angel better watch out not to get blood on him. Oh shit. Anyways, I thought that was funny though. Like, that Angel ended up being the one. Obviously, he's the one to get this for Buffy and save the fucking day. The next morning, we find Joyce is by Buffy's side, who appears in distress as she's like still tossing and turning in her bed, trying not to sleep, but obviously not paying attention to anybody, not having much time before, you know, whatever's going to happen with her before she goes insane or fucking, I don't know if she would just die. Like, what would happen? Like, if like she didn't get away from people, you know what I mean? Would her brain explode or something? Like, who the fuck even knows? Over at the school, the questioning of the students continues, and Willow sits with Nancy, which goes nowhere. I love that little comment too, because she's like repeating back what Willow was just asked her, but we didn't hear Willow ask. And she's like, have I ever thought like that people are suspicious of me or like whatever? And then and Willow shakes her head. Yeah. She's like, well, not until now. Like, That's funny. Xander's over here with Larry questioning him about his resentments and unexpressed rage over this big secret that Larry has. And Larry calls out like he did in Phases, like, what, being gay? Letting Xander know that he is now out and proud. And even his grandma got him helping score some hot guys. But noting it sounds like Xander's having some trouble with his repressions of being gay.
I like how that's always alluded to somehow.
I know. I love the little callback in like this scene too, because I'm like, do y'all not remember we watched this before? Like, is Xander forgetting about this whole moment that he had with, like, why did he even go? He felt awkward and upset by the last interaction that he had with Larry in that episode. Why would he be doing this and being tasked to go talk to Larry here?
They should have just sent someone else altogether to talk to him, because at this point, Larry probably so tired of seeing fucking Xander coming.
Well, maybe he's not though. Maybe he's ready to see Xander come. But I like it along their conversation because he says something about like Freddie Iverson. I don't remember exactly what he says. He's like, he's gay, and he's like, no, like maybe he could do like a tasteful coming out message in the school paper for you or something like that. But once again, it brings the attention back to Freddie. And like this shit's funny because like he's like, you could let everyone know about you and stuff like that, like real tasteful. And Xander like shuts up real fucking quick, fucking again. I'm like, oh my god. And I mean, I don't really have it written down, but I remember this, and I feel like it's a good time to like bring it up. I felt like I was gonna bring it up like way later on down the road, but I've heard talks somewhere like Joss Whedon and them. Someone was mentioning somewhere, some way, somehow that eventually they were possibly going to make Xander come out as gay on the series, but they decided not to do as such. But at some point they were going to like have Xander become gay on the show, but they did not do that. So.
Interesting.
That being said, I think that's why they were trying to like put these little moments in the show so that way when it did finally happen, we're like, oh, okay, well, duh. Like most times we understand, like, okay, we get it, you know? Oz then goes attempting to contact Freddie again, only this time his room is straight locked up. He's like, I don't even want this motherfucker going in my door. Like, no. And we see Freddie watching him from around the corner, looking very worried and trying to stay out of sight. So we're like, it's Freddie. It's Freddie. He's acting so fucking sketch. This motherfucker, he got boogers for every bone but for no one. I'm just kidding. I'm going to clip that out. I just want to make you laugh. Actually, I'm going to keep it in. It's probably funny. People are going to be like, this is that boogers episode. I'm trying to keep it lighthearted since it's about to get really sensitive. It's me keeping the comedic stuff like the episode does on par. The gang meets up in the library to say that he's the only one, Freddie Iverson, that they haven't been able to question, assuming it's him, especially with the stuff that he's been putting in the paper. At Buffy's home, Giles and Joyce watch her, speaking on how she can't pick up thoughts from them or like anybody else, because he's like, I think Joyce is like, I feel like I'm hurting her with my thoughts. And he's like, bitch, she can't pick out one from the den at this point. Like, us sitting right here is nothing to her. She don't even know who we are. And then we hear loud banging on the door, rushing downstairs, and they let Angel in, who is shrouded in a cloak, like, which is so funny because he like runs in and he like, what did you say when he pulled that thing off of him? Do you remember?
I don't remember. Fuck.
I don't know if I don't think you said something about Harry Potter or something like that.
I was like, oh, he looks like a wizard.
Yeah, a wizard. That's what it was. I would never remember that. You're like, this motherfucker's a wizard.
That's what he looked like. He just like looked like he should be carrying a lantern and like going through the dark forest with his cloak on.
You mean he should look like the hermit card?
Exactly. That's what
exactly. Oh my god. Next time I flip that card over in one of my tarot spreads, I'm gonna send you a picture of it and say, look.
In fact, I'm just sad that they didn't put Angel as the hermit in the Buffy tarot deck and from that scene.
I know. Who is the hermit in that deck? I'm gonna send you a picture after this recording.
Can we make our own tarot deck and make that the hermit card? We'll have to remember that.
Angel.
And except
yes,
and instead of holding a lantern, he's holding a blue potion looking bottle.
I mean, it's lit up, so it's glowing blood, so it makes sense. Oh my god, maybe he is the hermit. The hermit brings wisdom and answers and all the right things. So that's what he is. He's the fucking damn. I love it. Look what we just did. Look at what that just culminated into. We're gonna have a
section of tarot in our like final slays. Like do a tarot interpretation of the episode.
No. We left all the tarot bullshit with.
No, ours.
We left all that tarot bullshit with Drew.
Be expanding.
No, I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about the other crazy one. I'm talking about we left all that bullshit back with Tarot in season 2 with Drusilla's bitch ass.
See, I was relating it to real life, and you were still relating it to.
No, I ain't got time for that. I was trying to relate it to Buffy, not that bitch.
Anyways.
Moving along. He goes upstairs because he's this fucking bitch, and obviously he got damn, I wish I had read that the way I wrote it. I'm just gonna read it out because I thought it was funny. Like, I wrote, a shrouded cloaked angel comes in before he becomes this episode's 2K per Sunslay. Obviously he comes in with that potion mixed up, and it looks cool as fuck. It's glowing, but also it's got demon heart chunks in it, and that's kind of gross. And he gives the potion to Buffy upstairs in her bed, and as she drinks it, she sits down for a moment and like looks to be calm, but no, she starts to convulse, and he screams out for Giles, and we're like, what the fuck is about to happen? Obviously nothing, because the next time we see Buffy, she's like put together, she's done straightened her hair and like took a shower and got ready to come to school, like she's fine. But we go back to the school, and the clock is winding down. The gang walking through the courtyard together looking for Freddy, as we pan up to the clock tower. Quite literally, the clock is winding down above them at the school's highest peak. And inside we find Jonathan, very nervous looking, down at the school students, then moving inside to open a box containing a rifle that he starts assembling. And this is where we all kind of like collectively squeeze our butt cheeks together and take a big gulp and be like, oh fuck, he's about to like straight up fire on all these motherfuckers. Like, this boy is saying like, not today, like, but today.
And not tomorrow, because we won't be here.
Too soon?
Sorry.
I'm dead. We just got canceled. Thanks, Courtney. The podcast is over. The 300
Should've known
followers
that's
we
the
just
risk
got
you were
because
taking
I'm
having me on.
No, I'm just kidding. It was okay. I think it's warranted. Everybody knows to take it with a grain of salt. Buffy awakens with Angel in her room, plus Giles, Wesley, and Joyce, them asking if she hears thoughts, and she with bright eyes expressing that she doesn't, immediately asking also if they found the killer. Points to Buffy, like, this bitch just woke up, and not only is she like super happy in her expression when she like realizes that she doesn't hear thoughts anymore, she's very happy that she can't do it. She also immediately asks, like, did you find the killer? Like, that's immediately what's on her mind. So it lets you know that like this bitch is like top tier, like 100%. We go back to the school, and Freddy is bum rushed in his office and blocked inside by our Scoobies, who like come in all fucking different doors. Like, apparently there's 3 entrances to this motherfucking room. I don't know why. I guess so that way they could have them get bum rushed. And he's like, all right, you caught me. And we find out that he's been avoiding Oz because he wrote a review for Dingo's Ate My Baby saying that, you know, I think like that they played their instruments the last time they were at the Bronze, like they had sausages tied to their fingers like or some kind of stupid shit. And then Oz just looks at him and goes, yeah, that's pretty fair. Like we did suck Oz that night. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, he's chill. If you knew Oz, he wouldn't have cared, but he thought he was going to deliver hate mail. So that's why he was like dodging them all episode, or at least that's what he excuses. I wrote my notes too, like for a fashion moment, like Cordelia's hair in this whole moment, like she's been like, I don't know what they did to her blowout, but her fucking hair is voluminous. Like, they must have done a full-on roller set and put some damn what was that fucking hairspray that was iconic in the 90s that everybody fucking used. It started with an R, I think, and I don't know why.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. I can see,
like, called Rave or something like that, maybe, or something.
I think it might be, yes.
I can't fucking remember, but they sprayed a lot of hairspray in her hair, but it looks fucking good. I was like, well, good to see Cordelia back and still looking hot. They realize, though, that it's not him when Cordy, as they talk, no pun intended, rifles through some letters. Buffy coming in, letting them know that she's okay, and how they have moments to figure out who this is, planning to get Snyder to evacuate the school. Cordy finds a letter and interrupts them, one written by Jonathan.
I'm gonna get Snyder to evacuate the school and just hope the killer's not waiting outside.
This time tomorrow, you all know what I've done. I'm sure you understand that I had to do it, and that although death is never easy, it's the only way. God, doesn't anyone write in to praise the cheerleaders? We are so unsung.
Jonathan, oh, I had him in my grasp. Slippery weasel.
Okay, Cordelia, like, this bitch kills me. I'm like over here talking about some damn cheerleaders and not getting mentioned. I was like, naturally, this is given like Willow being dead, and she's like, do you want to go to dinner, Wesley? It's just typical. I'm just gonna let it. This is Cordelia at this point. Like, I'm just over it.
Yeah.
But that's not the issue, and Buffy instructs everyone to split up and find him. They all rush to do so, covering the school's grounds, us getting shots of Jonathan setting up in the gun tower as they do, Xander getting distracted in the cafeteria by some Jell-O. He's like, ooh, Jell-O. I'm like, oh, shit. That Jell-O do be looking good. I like some Jell-O shots, but that's the only time I ever eat Jell-O. And I had to laugh at Cordelia, too, because, like, I noticed, like, she's, like, turning everybody to face her and looking dead in their eyes. Like, bitch, first of all, I get it. You're trying to, like, really be thorough with who you're looking for. But you do know who Jonathan is. This is what I wanted to call back to it when I was talking about, like, the times that Jonathan's popped up. At the end of Reptile Boy, she has him like going and getting her coffee and acting her like her little servant boy. And she's like, young men are the only way to go. Like a whole moment. Like, you know who Jonathan is. You quote unquote dated him, like, but not really dated him. You know what I mean? Like
for 2 minutes.
For 2 minutes, you know what he looks like. You ain't gotta like turn everybody and look in their face.
And
like
not
this.
to mention, you just called out the part where they pointed at him and were making fun of him, and it was literally in a scene with Cordelia. So I'm just like, not only have we personally seen you see this boy and interact with him like 2-3 times, but we know you know who he is.
She's just doing the most.
She doesn't know what we know that they know that she knows.
Exactly. In the courtyard, Buffy's spidey sense tingles as she looks up to the tower, seeing Jonathan in the window frame. She moves quick in the dopest sequence to scale up there, running up the fucking stairway to the roof, flipping up and doing this whole like
impossible,
what prophecy girls would call a damn flip-de-doo. Like this shit, like I don't know how they hid the wires that made her do this shit and all this other stuff as an actress, but it was pretty fucking dope. I mean, I have no doubts in my mind that the Slayer could do this for sure. But you want to know who could not do this? Nancy, who was down there expressing, scoffing, talking, I could have done that.
Nancy,
like I'm
Nancy
like, bitch, no, you could not sit down there and do your
class
homework.
Time.
She hates Buffy, and that's to bring it back to Nancy because this is the last time we see this bitch. Like, you gonna hate her just because she knows some answers?
But isn't that
also
just, like,
Nancy?
the
We've never
normal
seen
way
you.
of life, you know. That's like just jealousy in the making. So yeah.
Well, it's funny too because I forgot to say it as well, but like, there's the whole scene where she's passing Buffy in the hallway later, and she's thinking in her head, "I hate."
I
her.
know. I'm like, dang, you got bent out of shape real quick just because somebody outsmarted you in class.
For real. Sorry that you couldn't be that fucking student that's like, I wanna talk, I wanna give my presentation first. Like, goddamn, like fuck. That teacher was probably happy you weren't finally talking in class. And they were excited that Buffy was finally paying attention. Like, damn,
just
let
like
Buffy
Willow
have a
was.
fucking moment. Like, be glad Buffy's actually in class today. Like, goddamn. Well, Buffy's not only in class, but she is crashing in through the boarded window, stunning Jonathan, who aims the gun at her and tells her to get away from him and not try to stop him. She starts small talk, and he expresses again for her to go away. And here we start one of the best moments in the Buffy series, as Buffy tells him that's never going to happen. He threatens her to stop inching toward him with the potential gun use on her, because he's like pointing at her. He's like, you think I won't use this shit? And she's like, I don't know what you'll do. And this whole time she's saying his name, and he chokes for her to stop. And like from this point on, all I want to do is offer Jonathan a cold rag to wipe his clammy ass face.
That
like this poor boy is
oh my
stressing.
god, he was sweating
Like
bullets.
they would. I don't know if it's actually hot in that clock tower and poor Danny Strong just sweats a lot, or if they was spraying his face with water and like dabbing him. They put Vaseline on his face and misted it with water so that way he'd look like really like he was nervous about what he was doing.
Beating off of him, like he put Rain-X on his face or something.
Rain-X is crazy. Damn. I mean, he didn't have to go get the gun. He could have just drank the Rain-X. Like, fuck. He said, out with a bang. I need to like get this over.
He said, no, I want everyone to know that I'm up here doing this.
So sad. Anyways, okay, I got to pull back from the funnies. He says that he needs her to stop because she's saying it like they're friends, his name, and they're not friends. Voicing her and everyone else thinks that he's a short idiot. And I mean, you know, he is 4'8", but it's not his fault. She claims she doesn't because she doesn't think about him much at all. Nobody does. And she points out that that bugs him and he's not getting paid attention to. But she expresses the reason is because everyone is too busy worrying about their own lives. And she doesn't mean that insultingly. This she has learned firsthand the last couple of days. Not to mention her life happens to suck on occasion beyond the telling of it. More than she can handle sometimes. Expressing that her pain has led her to understand the pain of others, and again, how they are all going through it so much that they can't pay attention to others. She speaks to him about the loneliness and looks down below with Jonathan, and I love that little sequence because like they kind of move to the window together to look out on the campus. And she says, you know, the students moving down there, it looks like it's quiet, but it's not. It's deafening. And it hits home in that moment. I'm like, oh my God. Like I almost like low key, I don't really tear up, but I remember the first time a few times watching the show, I like felt something in this moment. And I was just like, God, like you're not wrong. Cause silence often is very deafening when you really know what you don't know that you just want to know. Looking to him rhetorically saying that she could have taken that gun by now. And he shakes his head knowing that that is a fact. Cause he's like, I know. She offers him to hand it over to her because she would prefer to do it that way. And he does. She unloads it and sets it aside as he says he just wanted it to stop. Her claiming, well, mass murder wouldn't be the way, you know, along with the prison that comes after.
Besides prison, you know, it's a lot like high school, only instead of noogies.
What are you talking about?
I was like, damn, Buffy, that's kind of fucked up after you just had this whole moment. He grows confused, shaking his head, claiming that he actually came up here to kill himself and how he would never harm anyone, which I thought was awesome. Like, what a twist that he's like, I was going to off myself. Like, that's insane, first off. So sad when you really think about it. Like, this person thought that that was his only way out. Like, I feel so bad. I'll be your friend, Jonathan. Like,
at
I'm
this point,
short
come live
too.
with me. You need
Like,
something?
y'all have all listened to this episode. Me and Courtney been acting like idiots the whole time. We'll be best friends with Jonathan. We're both short. Like,
We'll be
we
a
both
short
5'2". Like, short kings and queens for life. Like, I'm all holding up like fucking rocker symbols on the damn camera so people can see us. Like, gang. I don't know. Fuck. I don't know. It's so sad. But also, we're like, wait, well, if it's not him, then who the fuck is it? Cut to the cafeteria. We find Xander behind the scenes sneaking, by the way, in the back rooms of the cafeteria. Like, he's helped himself back there to go grab some Jell-O because he can't just get it off the fucking platter. I don't know if lunch was done being served or something. He saw them carting it away, and that's what got him distracted. I don't know. But he picks it up without a utensil, mind you. Picks the fucking block of Jell-O up in his hand, with his fingers, and starts to put it in his mouth. And he pans over to look at the lunch lady over here pouring a huge box of rat poisoning into the food that she's making, and looking to him with a "oh fuck, I'm caught" expression. She like looks back at the damn pot and looks back at him. I'm like, fucking dead. He drops the Jell-O and runs out as she chases behind him with a meat cleaver, nearly getting to him. But Buffy steps in, of course, to take her out. And of course, she's like, "Vermin, you're all vermin. All you do is come in here day after day and eat filth." Because that's exactly how she sounded. Like, girl, go home. Go get a new job. Get unemployment. If you need EBT, like, we're good. We got you. Like, I don't fucking know what's going on. Like, that's your motive? Like, because the students are vermin and they come in here and eat the food that you're making?
I know, that's my whole thing. I'm like, so we're mad because you're coming to work doing your job and the students are getting fed, which is your job? I don't know. I'm confused. But either way, it's like you said, at this point, do something to get fired, not poison the students, because that'll also get you jail time, but do something to just lightly get yourself fired and live off of unemployment and have a mental reset, and then go journey onward to a job that you enjoy, maybe without children.
I don't know why they went this route. It's so funny, but
So
it's
random.
also like, why? Like, truly, it's
It's
so
literally
random.
just to not have you on the plot the whole time. Like, you can't figure that out because you can't see that coming, because this bitch is just like clearly in the background unhinged.
But if you think about it, and this is my next little part of my notes to say as a callback, earlier in the episode when they're starting to like deliberate what's going on and who the killer could be, Xander specifically, and he's the one that finds her, says, "I've been saying the lunch lady is going to do us all in with the mulligan stew one day."
Oh
Like,
my
he
God,
literally
I
says
forgot
it.
about that.
He
Yeah.
called it. He fucking called it. Like, and once again, it's like put right in front of our faces, the viewer, and we don't think about it. It's out of sight, out of mind.
I'm surprised
Just
that
like Marcy.
Xander didn't double down on another "I told you so" moment, because I would have. I'd be like, I said it.
Listen. Xander will run through that damn cafeteria throwing all them damn trays off the fucking thing and like all this stuff.
I'm knocking it out of people's hands.
I know, like, and nobody clapped for him, because remember when Buffy dropped the tray to the floor, everybody clapped because they wouldn't want to eat the shitty food either. I wouldn't want to eat that fucking shit in the library anyway. I mean, in the cafeteria anyways, because remember last season, if they were thinking the cafeteria, like, you know what? I actually know her motive. She's still deeply upset because her hot dogs and her little sandwiches and spaghetti that she made turned into snakes last season and bit Cordelia in the face. She's upset still from that incident. She couldn't figure out how her food turned into snakes and stuff like that. So that's why she called it vermin, because there were rats running around and like bugs and all the things going on back in that episode. So that's why she's upset about that. Actually, she's upset because Principal Snyder broke up with her. Either way, like I said, Buffy takes that bitch out, and it's so funny too, because like when you watch it, I have it in I'm gonna burn it now, but it's in the Buffy fun facts. Whenever you see the cuts of like her fighting the stunt double is not the same lady that's playing this. Obviously it's a heavy set lady that's playing the cafeteria lady, lunch lady, whatever you want to call her, but it's like this slender Spanish woman that she's fighting whenever like you clip to the scene. It's very visible. It's like back in the day when we were watching The Pack and Buffy's fighting the zookeeper guy, and it's like clearly an Asian like, man in a wig. It's that moment. I'm like, okay, dead. But this bitch passes on the floor and the threat is done and over with. With the threat taken care of, everything is back to normal life the next day at school. Willow and Buffy approach that new school day talking about how Buffy and Angel are okay again. School is safe. All the things are back to normal. All the things. Giles meeting up with them, and Willow parts away as he checks in on Buffy, talking about how Jonathan is doing better and like how Buffy was happy to help someone in a normal way versus a Slayer way. And Giles asking if she's up for some training now that she's recovered. And Buffy agrees, parting ways with him to passive aggressively mention she will meet him after school. And then she reveals that she knows, and sarcasms, if you're not too busy having sex with my mother. Giles runs into a tree. We fade to black, and here endeth the episode. What a way to end episode 2. He thumbs into that damn tree. He's like, wait, what? Like, and I mean, low-key, obviously you haven't watched the next episode, but this never comes up again. It's just a one-off little funny thing. Like, you never hear about it or anything like that. So I mean, it's not pertinent to the show or anything like that. It's a one and done for the episode, but yeah, what a way to end it. Themes and metaphor for this one. Short little something, but obviously it's pretty self-explanatory what this episode is about. Earshot is one of the episodes that starts with a cool concept and ends up saying something very profound. When Buffy gets the ability to hear everyone's thoughts, it seems like an advantage. She finally knows what people really think, but it turns out to be overwhelming. What should be power turns into noise. It's this brilliant metaphor for anxiety and hyper-awareness. When you take in so much of everyone else's energy that you lose your own center. It also shows how isolating that kind of insight can be. Buffy's surrounded by her friends, but the more she hears, the lonelier she becomes. She's forced to confront all the things that people never say out loud, their fears, insecurities, shame, and it reminds us that everyone's fighting something invisible. Not Marcy. The twist with Jonathan redefines the story completely. We're led to believe he's planning something violent, but it's really about self-harm, about pain that's being ignored too long. And Buffy saves him not by slaying or using her gift, but by listening. That's what makes this episode so powerful. It turns compassion into heroism. There's also this thread about assumption and misunderstanding and how we fill in the blanks with fear and how knowledge without empathy only causes more chaos. Buffy learns that true understanding doesn't come from hearing thoughts. It comes from feeling them, from seeing the person behind the noise. And in the end, Earshot reminds us that knowing everything isn't the goal. It's connection that matters, the kind that sees past the surface even when the mind gets loud. For Buffy, this moment adds to her journey into adulthood, and Buffy's perspective shifts, and the level of empathy for others she becomes aware of enhances her growth this season, which will push us into the future decisions and the person that Buffy becomes, especially in comparison to Faith. Just had to point that out because she is our problem that we got going on right now, because next episode we'll be right back into the storyline.
Well, it's refreshing to not see her for an episode.
Basically. We're going to see a lot of her next episode, so have fun with that one. Buffy fun facts. Joss Whedon wrote 2 scenes in this episode, the discussion in the literature class and the confrontation in the clock tower between Buffy and Jonathan. So he was a little side writer in the episode, even though he's not mentioned. Jane Espenson says that she deliberately confirmed that Joyce and Giles had sex in Band Candy, quoting, "To my surprise, a lot of people were confused about exactly how far Giles and Joyce had gone. And so I really enjoyed this as an opportunity to make that very, very clear. They actually did have sex on top of that police car. I just sort of wanted America to know that." So they added it in here because they didn't think about ever making it come out, and they were like, you know what, this is the perfect episode to drop that. And it was like, what a way to find out. Like, that's the best way Buffy could have found out. Buffy mentions that her itchy hand is just another problem for the people at Lubriderm, obviously referring to the brand of body lotions that were made by Warner Lambert Pharmaceutical Company at the time. Oz's thoughts, I am my thoughts. If they exist in her, Buffy contains everything that is me, and she becomes me. I cease to exist, is a reference to the principle of Rene Descartes' philosophy, I think, therefore I am. Which was interesting. I was like, damn, he's really thinking profoundly for it to be Oz. Like, damn. Super insightful in his head when he just says 2 words most other times, as we said earlier. And then I already gave the burn fact of the lunch lady being a Spanish woman in between scenes. So that's that. We can wrap up and go to our final slays.
Final slays.
Final slays. Can't hear thoughts no more. Drank some demon's heart. All right. What do you got for quotes this episode? I have a slew of them, so I'm going to let you go first.
I do too. I don't know. I'll try to leave some of them.
No, say all you want. Say all the ones you got. It's okay.
Okay, so my first one was between Willow and Oz, where Willow's like, the school paper is edging on depressing lately. Have you noticed that? And Oz was like, I don't know. I always go straight to the obits.
I was low-key, I knew that was I didn't put like but one Oz quote in here because I watched you as soon as he said this stuff start writing it down whenever we were watching the episodes. I was like, that's perfect. That is so funny because there are no obituaries in the fucking school paper. Like, but at the same time, for somewhere like Sunnydale, and if this was in the Wish verse, there would be an obituary
You never
section.
know. There might actually be.
Leave it to a white cat.
And then obviously the really hilarious part where Buffy was looking in her compact and then Angel's behind her and she was like, I didn't see you, so I should have known you were there. Just because it's hilarious. I also noted the Oz part that we've touched base on a few times where he's having like a crisis in his head about Buffy being able to read minds, and he's like, I cease to exist, Buffy is all of us, and all this other stuff. It's just really great and perfectly like on brand for Oz. And then my last one that I put was Cordelia when she's talking to Mr. Beach and she's like, were you planning on killing a bunch of people tomorrow? It's for the yearbook.
Okay, so your last two were two that I have in here, so I can keep those out, but I will say that I wrote in parentheses after the Oz quote whenever he says specifically, because he's like, I cease to exist, and then after he's done thinking, he out loud goes, huh. Like, and I was like, the fact that he thinks all of this and just short non-committal voices the phrase huh out loud lets us know that Oz has a lot more going on inside of his head that he actually vocalizes, which we've said now as the episode unfolded, but I wrote that in my notes like way before we ever recorded. So here we are. My other ones, though, all completely different than yours, surprisingly enough. But also, I love how we used to like have one or two quotes for episodes back in the earlier seasons, and now we have like 5, 6, 7, 8 quotes. I'm like, my first one is Angel whenever he's talking to Buffy and he's like, kissing her meant nothing. I don't want a bad girl. I've done that before. I've lived a long time, Buffy, and I'm past that. I've been with dozens of girls like that, more. And Buffy's like, oh, this honesty stuff is fun. Like, mostly the Buffy part of that quote. Me and you busted out laughing whenever she said that. Mostly you, and I laughed because you were laughing. My other one was when in class, whenever Buffy's doing her thing on the teacher, and Willow's like, Buffy did the reading? Buffy understood the reading? Which I said earlier, actually, now that I remember. I called that out and burned it earlier. And then my last one is when Buffy is saying, believe it or not, Jonathan, I understand about the pain. And Jonathan comes back real quick talking about, oh, right, because the burden of being beautiful and athletic, that's a crippler. I was like, first of all, you just called Buffy beautiful, so that's great. But also, this isn't the time to be acting snarky, Jonathan.
I feel like you have way too much wit going on to consider yourself not like a complete benefit to this earth. I think you should.
And I love the way he does it. I love the way he does it too, because he's like, "That's such a crap." Like, this is his facial expression when he delivers. I'm like, Danny Strong, you need to calm down.
Disgusted with what he thinks is like her entitlement or something, and she's like, "No,
yes,
I
exactly."
swear, like.
Like, for real. She's like, no.
She's like, literally, I've had to kill my boyfriend almost twice now. Definitely the first time.
And she's like, and I die almost every single day. She's like, every Tuesday I almost die.
I can hear everyone's thoughts right now, and I'm gonna go insane, like in a padded room style. So let's make this quick. Let me change your mind.
Who'd you give Shining Slayer to?
I gave it to 2 people. Well, we do our usual, I guess, Shining Slayer and then the runner-up. But overall, I gave my Shining Slayer to Buffy just because, like, Lord help her with what she had to deal with in this episode. Like, I just wouldn't want to wake up and face the day knowing all of these things are going to go down, and like I have to hear everyone's thoughts and also live my ordinary life, which is also not so ordinary. So it's like just a mess of things for Buffy, and then for her to still come out at the end and not just save the day, but I think ultimately save Jonathan's life, because I think regardless of the lunch lady's plans not going through or whatever, like whatever would have happened with that on the sidelines, Jonathan would have taken his life either way. So that was like a guarantee. So for her to even be put in a position to suspect him, and then to be put in a position to go confront him, and then to have it all play out to where she saves him and changes his mind and reasons with him, and hopefully he's left with leaving that experience a better person himself and thinking about things differently. So for her to not just have saved his life, but also impact potentially the trajectory of how he internalizes his own self in the future and how he deals with problems and stuff is huge. But obviously my other person has to go to Xander, just for being the one who catches the lunch lady in the act, since we were not clear on what the fuck was going on at the end. So it has to be both of them.
For sure. Like I said earlier, Buffy, no question. I like mostly just because of her ability to be empathetic. It's just everything. Like, so it's great. Weekly Wiggins. Originally put mine as Mr. Beach. Continuously twice in the episode we hear him thinking about getting rid of all the students, and like Buffy even says it herself. She's like, Mr. Beach, he said something about getting rid of the students. I'm like, I was like, okay, one, why are you a teacher and why are you teaching at a school? Like, you need to, obviously you are best friends with the lunch lady.
Maybe that's who broke up with her.
No, he found her. That they co-conspired. That's what
I know.
is.
He probably bought the rat poison. He was like, bye.
This damn random. He did. $6.99 at Lowe's. Walmart. It was on sale. Actually, this was $19.99. They got it at Kmart.
They got it at Eckerd's.
Eckerd's. Not Eckerd's. Damn. Shit. Walgreens, CVS didn't know it was coming. Damn. But then I went back on my thing, and honestly, like for the Wiggins, I really thought it was fucked up for Buffy at the end to be like, what am I, Saint Buffy? He's like 3 feet tall or 4 feet tall or whatever the fuck he says, like commenting on Jonathan being short still, and he said earlier like, I'm a short idiot. I'm like, oh no, Buffy, no. So a little bit of both of those kind of gave me Wiggins.
Mine obviously just straight up goes to the lunch lady for so many reasons other than her motive, because that's questionable within itself, but just like the idea of what you're doing, like who thought of that? Why would you be in this position? Like so many things. So like we keep saying, just like go to bed and then wake up tomorrow morning and quit your job and do something else other than like what you're doing. It's a little much. Seriously. So she gets my weekly wigs, but also the demon. Demons. Just because they be looking some type of way.
Oh, okay.
Like Wiggy.
I got it. Understandable. Like a Wiggy. I don't know why, but I just heard Kendra in my head go, Wiggy. Okay. That Slade moment. What was yours?
Mine came from the very opening scene where Buffy just like quick catches that knife like between her hands. I was like, what a way to start the episode. Like, but you just did that like it was nothing. And I could tell it was going to be one of those moments like you and I didn't touch base about it. You know, like we didn't talk about it. It just happened so effortlessly and quickly, and it just brought back the whole thing where she did that with Angel, and it was just like, you're an expert at doing this. I'm protecting your face from a blade. Like,
this bitch ain't got no knives coming for her face.
She's like, you can stab me in the back, but not my face.
There you go. It's call out the faith.
Right.
Stab you in the back. I chose Angel in the part kicking the second demon's ass, like as my Slade moment, because that shit was dope. Like y'all heard me earlier talk about it. That shit was crazy. Plus, Daddy, he looks sexy doing that shit. I'm just saying, like him in a vampire face. Okay, got you. Slayerette predictions. Episode 19 is entitled "Choices."
Ooh. Well, obviously, we're going to be making some choices in the next episode. I assume profound ones, since we're nearing the end. And since you said Faith is going to be returning, I assume it's also centered around her somehow. And I don't know. Is it like a life or death choice? Is it really? Okay.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, essentially, honestly. Now, I mean, there's a few different random, like, I wouldn't say choices. Like, that's the one main circled choice that we have to make is like a judgment call kind of thing. Like, should we, shouldn't we? Like, how should we operate and go about this type thing? But it's also a callback to us being on the precipice of the final 3 episodes after that episode, leading into the final stuff. And obviously with the prom being episode that's kind of slightly filler. It's more of a like Buffy moment.
Oh yeah, so I forgot about that. Okay.
Type of episode. This episode like helps sum up the theme of the season too. Like we've been talking about choice and stuff like that too. So ironically it's called Choices. So there's that. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us in our discussion on Earshot. Let us know what you think of Buffy's mind reading power turning from gift to curse. Do you think hearing everyone's thoughts made her more empathetic, or did it just show how overwhelming awareness can be? And how did you feel about that twist with Jonathan? Were you surprised by how the story handled his pain and isolation? And do you love the lunch lady? I'm going to throw that one in there now. Would you eat the mulligan stew? I'm going to throw that in there now. Do you like Jell-O? I'm going to throw that in there now. Regardless, this is such a thoughtful episode that reminds us sometimes true connection doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from listening. So listen to us next week. We'll be back here to cover choices.
My life happens to, on occasion, suck beyond the telling of it. Sometimes more than I can handle. And it's not just mine. Every single person down there is ignoring your pain because they're too busy with their own. Beautiful ones, popular ones, the guys who pick on you, everyone. If you could hear what they were feeling. Loneliness, the confusion. It looks quiet down there. It's not. It's deafening. You know, I could have taken that by now. I know. I'd rather do it this way.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Buffy on Revamped. Remember to join us next week for a new episode release as we continue our journey through Sunnydale. We also would like to hear from you, so share your thoughts. Discuss with us your perspectives on this or previous week's episodes by following us on Instagram and sending us a DM at revamped_rewatchpodcast.
Or by emailing us at revampedrewatchpod@gmail.com. Additionally, we will be choosing one of your messages to shout out in an upcoming episode release. And if you happen to love abandoned places but prefer them vampire-free, check out Echoes of Elsewhere, an urban exploration podcast, where I interview urban explorers about the eerie spaces they uncover, anything from haunted schools, forgotten mansions, and tunnels that probably don't lead to the Hellmouth. From history to mysteries, tips and tricks of the trade, I dive into all things Urbex. Subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Until next time, the Earth is definitely doomed. This podcast is dedicated to the Buffyverse, to its fans, and my sister, Tiffany Dawn Pearson.